There you go.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? I have not watched the video that we are going to be reacting to tonight, but Spoon has, and
It made me very upset.
Made him very upset.
And laugh.
Spoon is and laugh. So I think that's kind of the goal is a laughter out of rage of some sort. Now, Spoon is particularly angry right now. One of the reasons we're late.
I'm seething with rage right now. I can't even describe how unbelievably fucking pissed off I am right now.
So, Spoon, what happened that has caused you to seethe with rage?
My fucking cunting go to hell McAfee fucking antivirus. I don't give a fuck if the stream is demonetized.
There was that was the monetization.
Yeah, don't give it. I couldn't give a flying fuck. It wouldn't, for some bizarre fucking reason, my whole damn time I played Assassin's Creed Unity, it never once decided to go, hey, look, this file is a problem. And then for some fucking reason now, it kept doing it over and over again. And I kept saying, restore it. There's no reason for you to fucking quarantine the file, McAfee. Fuck off. And it did it so many times, and I accidentally deleted it instead of quarantining it again for like the third fucking time I did it. And the only way to get it back is to reinstall it. And for some bizarre reason, because Assassin's Creed always has the save game files in the documents, not in the fucking program files. And this time around, install it didn't ask me, do you want to save the game files? Because I assumed, why the hell would it not be in the documents folder, like all the other times? And when I installed it, oh look, it wiped all my save game files. So there's like 30 hours of gameplay down the fucking drain, and now I want to fucking throttle and strangle the shit out of someone.
Yeah.
So if I seem annoyed right now, it is because I want to beat someone to a bloody pulp.
It happened right before we got ready to start. So yeah, I'm sorry about the language, but hopefully it'll...
I'm not. If you don't like it, go to hell.
Okay.
Or perhaps you can be my punching bag for the next 20 fucking minutes while I rage at you.
Yeah, it's McAfee. I mean,
yeah, I'm not in a good mood. I'm like literally words cannot describe how much I want to fucking snap.
Spoon's gonna be in a real, he's gonna be in a real nice place for this stream. At least for the Doberman says, Aiden never reads these, so I won't bother. I do read the membership chats, as does Son of Tiamat. He's been a member for 9 months. Lucifer has been a member for 8. Son of Tiamat, he's been a member for 9, says, listening while playing Tropico 6. Ooh, one of my favorite games. I love the whole Tropico franchise. Speaking of video games, have you played the Legacy of Kain games at all, Spoon?
I haven't played any recent games in 5 years.
It's a very old. These games are from the PlayStation 1 era. But there's a joke because in the video that I'm working on, you know, the one scholar was like, "Oh, he studies the effects of lynching longitudinally."
Effects of lynching is usually death.
Yes, longitudinally on societies, right?
More death.
His claim was that it makes white people racist.
Really?
Live in it. Yes.
Oh, it tends to make us safer usually.
But this is the guy who had to retract all of his papers, though, Spoon. So.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah, but so there was a joke about a Kain and Lynch joke, which is another video game series. It's not very good.
Oh, yeah. However, I'm familiar with Kain and
Lynch. Legacy of Kain, however, is fantastic. So Bill came up with this idea. I'm sharing my screen if you would like to share with the class,
okay,
so everyone can see. I posted it on Twitter as well, but so everyone can enjoy the abomination.
Hold on a second.
And I apologize. I suppose to fans of either
Kain's
game.
And Lynch.
Kain's is a chicken finger place.
What is in his arm? Is it like bark around his wrists or something?
Oh, that's like the wrap that's on his arm in the actual game, but then I just put chicken fingers.
It does look like wheat heads, though.
People die with their haircut. It's true. Well, you're all welcome, because this exists now. Oh, that's about enough of that. Actually, someone sent me a better version. Will it work if I open it up? Or no? I have to like go all the way to the end. Sorry, this is the whole folder. Don't worry, there's nothing weird in it. It's just data. Oh, like a lot of information exposing this guy.
Yeah, you kind of went ham happy.
Huh?
So you kind of went
Trying to get the last-
ham-happy. Is that another woman who's prosecuting Trump?
No, it's her name is Patricia Warren Hightower, and she is awful, just like the woman who's prosecuting Trump.
Of course, it's a black woman in charge of in any position of authority. They're always awful.
Sorry for the flashbang of all the data. I was trying to look for the other one, but it didn't work.
The only time you ever see black people in the limelight nowadays, it's gonna make you hate them. All the base black people you see are never advertised because they don't have the correct politics. That's the fucking truth, though. Like, come on, like, can we stop pretending this isn't the fucking case? This is true.
Well, okay, because you're in such a bad mood. I may have made a bit of a mistake. I'm gonna say this right now.
What is true though?
Okay. I'm gonna pass on the comment on that one, but because you were in a bad mood, and I was and you were like getting really angry and punching your table or whatever. Or
yeah, you could just hear you could just hear the thumping of metal in the background as I was punching something.
So I may have taken a bite out of my THC gummy, so I might be a little bit silly tonight. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So one person is going to be stoned, the other person is going to be enraged.
Yeah, it's a good mix. Before we begin, intellectual iconoclasm for two says, "Ree!" Indeed.
No, all black women do not look alike. McAfee. Not all of them are over 300 pounds.
I don't know if she's over 300 pounds, but...
Well, the one in that second video definitely looks over 200 at least.
If you want my opinion on that woman, Patricia Warren Hightower, I think she wants to become dean of the criminology department, and because in all of her letters,
oh my God,
she is
so many racist
all
jokes.
in favor of Dr. Stewart, and she is putting all the blame on the dean for even bothering to conduct investigations, talking about how it's racist and going along with this whole racist narrative. And I didn't realize until I started editing the video, I was like, man, this Patricia Warren Hightower woman is a bitch. And then I didn't know she was black until I started editing the video, and I was like, oh, well.
Still a bitch.
She's still a bitch. Like, she was a bitch regardless of race. I just didn't know she was black. So it's funny that you said that. Is that the Georgia DA?
But here's the thing. Black people's biggest problem is other black people. Like, everybody freaking knows this. Like, who fucks up the black community more than anyone else? Black people. Other black people. Once they get into position of power, you know what they do? Enrich themselves by blaming everyone else's problem with themselves. Like, this is what they do. Like, power exploits other people for their own fucking gain. And the easiest people to exploit, if you're black, is if you're black yourself. This is just fucking true. And there's this stupid thing in society where it's everybody's white, like, oh, it's the white people's fault. Like, motherfucker, white people are not even fucking around you. This is why I laugh and they say, oh, we need to have to bring back segregation because black people need to have safe spaces from white people. My head is like, do you fucking see your own crime rates? Your biggest problem is other black people. You think segregation is going to stop this? It's just going to make it fucking worse. Like, hello, how do you not see that? Like, if you don't see that, you're an idiot.
That's why it's having to admit to fault is difficult, but having to admit that the problem is internal is difficult for people. It's much easier to say that someone else is the problem. Because then you have to accept personal responsibility, and that's difficult for a lot of people.
Do you want to get better, or do you want to stew in your own fucking misery and blame everybody else?
I mean, that is the question, though. But that's what the people who do want to get better, that's why they leave.
Yes, all the black people that have money, you get the fuck away. Like, there's a common thing with black people. The first thing you do when you get money is get the fuck away from other black people.
Yeah.
What? Like, I've openly heard black people say they feel it's successful when they are around other white people. I live in a gated community around by whites and Jews. Like, they literally boast about this. Like, oh, I live in a white neighborhood. Like, I've literally heard so many of them say this.
I know. As have I.
Yes.
You remember I grew up in Baltimore, you know?
But it's so ridiculous to me that they have this... How do you not see this behavior out in the fucking open, and then we see black people act according to, you know, they understand what is wrong with their own fucking neighborhood, but if somebody else does it, they're racist. Like, dude, this is fucking ridiculous. You expect everyone else to react the same way that you do, but also get called racist when they do. That's an impossibly stupid standard. It's just dumb. It's just straight up fucking stupid.
Like I said, it's easier to pass the blame onto other people, and a lot of this is actually and has been directly encouraged by the Democrat Party.
Of course.
Via welfare programs, via constant messaging. So it's
and that's why black people need to have a king.
Being kept down intentionally by white people. I mean, you know, something to say also, because Zero Folks brought it up before the stream started, and you sent it to me earlier, actually, and then I saw Zero Folks also mentioned on Twitter, is the Rosie O'Donnell thing.
Oh yeah, the Solzhenitsyn.
Do you want to play that real quick? Because I don't know if we'll get to it on the week. Because we won't. Oh, we won't be streaming next week, so we should just do it now. To watch this little Rosie O'Donnell thing, which I was.
You can
not
put it
Rosie
on the
O'Donnell. What am I saying?
Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr starts with.
I'd be fucking surprised if Rosie O'Donnell came out as a fucking monarchist. That'd be a trip.
That would be crazy. Yeah, my brain got my Rosies confused and Roseanne's. Let me share my screen here for a minute. We'll just watch this real quick. And I should not have eaten that gummy. you were just stressing me out a little bit. So
by getting angry, or
yes, by getting angry. By getting angry. Here, I'll just share my screen here for a minute for this part. And then we can go to the watch together. Oh, I showed you my horrible picture, so yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
No, we're good.
Anyway, so here, the Roseanne Barr, not Rosie O'Donnell. That would be insane, yeah, if it was Rosie O'Donnell.
No.
And people don't understand this about Solzhenitsyn. That
God, that guy was a genius.
That Solzhenitsyn was not a champion of. Obviously, he was anti-communist, but he was not a champion of pro-consumerist capitalism either.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually a monarchist, funny enough.
I think that's what I am.
He actually wanted a strong national leader is what he was looking for, but he was deeply religious, and they asked him towards the end of his life. He said, if you could sum it all up, why did this all happen in Russia? Why did this insanity occur? How could it occur?
Yeah.
And we know you've written the Gulag Archipelago. We know you've done all your writings, but sum it up for us. What was it? And he said it's very simple. It's very simple. We forgot about God.
Yeah.
That's what Solzhenitsyn.
That's very true. But you know, it was interesting when you sent this to me, and I saw that too because my dad introduced me to Solzhenitsyn when I was in high school and like early high school, so probably 12 or 13, and I read Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich when I was probably 12 or 13. And then when I was probably 16 or so, I read the Gulag Archipelago. And I remember even at the time, because remember I went to an art school, some of my teachers looking a little sideways at it because I was writing book reports and stuff on them. You know, it was one of those things where, you can write a book report about whatever book you want, essentially, within certain criteria. You know, you couldn't write a book report about a comic book or something, I suppose. But although there's definitely plenty of comic books you could write book reports about. But I remember, my teachers looking sideways at me for being interested in Solzhenitsyn, because they were all commies, of course. I mean, I didn't know that at the time, right? But it's an art school. Of course they were all commies.
How dare you read something factual about where communism gets fucked up?
Oh, my dad is the one who recommended him to me, of course, as I said. But what's fascinating is I think, oh my God, both of them. Again, think you can read.
I think if you read the Gulag Archipelago and you don't become horrified by communism, I think it means that you're demented and you probably have some psychological problems.
Yeah, Ivan Denisovich is like it's a short story, so I think it's probably. Oh, wait a minute, what I described as a short story might be different from others. If I recall correctly, it's something like 100 pages, depending on how big the pages are. But, I mean, Gulag Archipelago is massive. In fact, because, again, it was an art school, I actually incorporated lines of text from that book, which I printed out, I would copy machine them, Xerox them, and then would use that paper, put it on something called transfer paper, and put on entire quotes from Gulag Archipelago into some of my artwork. I had this one piece in particular that was this turtle. It was like a sculpture of a turtle, and then out of it was this big city and a bunch of wires and stuff that were all metal wires and electric wires that were all exploding out of the back of the turtle, going up these buildings. And then it was on the buildings and I made it try to look like architecture. It was all lines from the Gulag Archipelago. So I was heavily inspired by that as a teenager. Yes. And it's so interesting now because I didn't really realize that at the time. I didn't realize it until I heard it just the other day there that, I guess he would have been a monarchist, wouldn't he have been, given his situation and his perspective on things. But I didn't think about it in those kinds of terms when I read those books when I was 14, 15, 16. But it was very cool to hear from Roseanne. Anywho, shall we watch The Idiot?
Yes.
All right, you got the watch together up?
Hold on a second. Where the hell is this thing?
AA's best-selling book in the next year or two, The Boomer Archipelago? Probably. Oh, let me get these chats real quick. Sven for €2 says, Comp Sci Pill is not using antivirus. I'm serious. Yeah, probably. Aiden's a secret Wokey. No, I was 16. And also, the whole thing behind that project was, it was about, I guess it was kind of, but it wasn't anti-capitalist again, was it? It wasn't explicitly an anti-capitalist piece. Because whatever. Gary Thomas 5 says, hey, Dynamic Duo. Spoon, I would say you could throttle McAfee himself to relieve your stress, but someone already beat you to it. That's true.
No, I don't have probably anything against John McAfee himself. He was alright.
It's kind of weird, but yeah. Keza for £5 says, Spoon, how about your GT4, I guess Gran Turismo 4 data, corrupting 4 times, 82%, 85%, 89%, 93%, wasting over 1,000 hours of time. That is pure pain. I know. Well, I mean, we've all been there with something or the other.
Yeah. Oh, look, here are the save game files. Why are they here and not in the directory? Why? Why?
Did you find it?
Yeah, no. This is what they save. My main question is why, in the name of fucking hell, like why do you save the fucking directory files in the documents folder, but not the save game files? Like everything, all the other settings are saved there except the fucking save game files. Like why? Why would you do this? Ubisoft, you fucking pillocks.
Gay.
Can you tell I'm kind of annoyed?
Yeah, I know. Lamented Guide for 5 says, Legasp, a bonus Crown Crew communion. Heh, alliteration. I love alliteration, man. What's on the menu? This dude who's
Somebody's
in the thumbnail.
head.
Yeah, and Keza for another 5 says, friends, it's time to radicalize Aiden with white pills. I'm feeling pretty white pilled right now, this moment.
Is it because of my rage?
No, just I had a gummy, and I'm about to go away on a trip. That should be fun. Bill's not looking forward to, but I am. And I got the last little bits of it organized today. Also, would the community give a happy birthday to my brother who turned 27 today? Well, happy birthday to your brother, Kiza. That's awesome.
Nah. I need a drink.
You need a drink? You said you were going to drink tonight, didn't you?
Yeah.
Are you ready to start, or do you need a moment?
You can
Let's put it on, and we'll...
Yeah, because, yeah.
And you've got your whiskey right there next to you, don't you?
I don't actually. It's downstairs.
Oh.
Got a little ugly. So terrible that I'm going to cut in a little intro. My guest was Phillip Bump, the Washington Post columnist most associated.
Hey, give me a second. You go watch this intro because I have
cold
seen this.
Water on the Hunter Biden story. He's an expert on the current state of the Hunter Biden affair. And
I'm sure he's an expert.
We'd have a good conversation, but he left very angry, which surprised me. He's known for writing about this issue, but something about the way I approach this seemed to get quite under his skin. I had many points to make, and few of them that I felt I was...
Could it be truth and facts and reality that got under his skin? Because again, I haven't seen this, but that's going to be my guess. What do you guys want to bet? I'm sure some of you in the chat have already seen this. I saw some people saying they had. But what do you think it is that got under his skin, this dude, just as a preemptive poll? What got under... His name is Bump. Bump's rump. Is it reality? Or is it the hosts? Is it the host? Show. There we go. I know it's a binary decision. It might offend some people, but let's see what happens. What? Why does it keep stopping?
Able to get
I've done
out.
this before.
We got particularly bogged down in
Whatever.
Devin Archer's interview on Tucker Carlson. Now, anybody who watches this show or listens to this podcast is aware that I'm no Tucker Carlson fan. But I happen to believe that no matter how unreliable and frankly misleading his reporting can often be, his interviews, or any interview, his interviews are almost always valid. I've done many interviews, and the politics of the questioner has never affected my answers. It's never left me wanting to please them. And as long as they didn't edit my interviews to leave stuff out, which has been done to me, any interview I've ever done is a perfectly fair indication of what my feelings are.
It's never a good sign when you have to start a podcast before you show the actual interview or conversation with a disclaimer.
General feeling about the Archer interview is that it's easy to give a straightforward answer to a straightforward question, and complexity is often a red flag and usually indicates that something less than the truth is being relayed.
Back to see the poll.
So, for instance,
I was asking because I don't know, and he's saying that I'm sorry, what's this guy's name? Do you know? I need to know both of their names actually, so that I can accurately refer to people, or everybody's name preferably. And I'm not familiar with this podcast, which is the Comedy Cellar, I believe it's called. Yeah, Comedy Cellar USA. So I believe, let me bring this up. But the TLDR was that this guy starts out by saying that he doesn't know if he did something wrong or what happened, and so that's what the poll's about, Spoon. So I guess this guy's name is Noam Dwarman, and then the other guy's name is Dov Davidov, which nice rhyme, and the WAPO guy's name is Phillip Bump. What's burning his rump? That is the question we are going to discover. The answer to the question we're going to discover.
when Archer was asked if the firing of Shokin, the Ukrainian prosecutor, was seen as a bad thing by the Burisma executives, he answers things like, well, that's the narrative that was spun to me, or...
By the way, this is basically the crux of the WAPO guy's entire argument.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why Shokin was fired is because he's a corrupt prosecutor and he's in bed with Burisma. Is there any evidence of that from the Ukrainians? No. There's none.
But it's also such a bizarre statement because it doesn't make any sense. So if he's in bed with Burisma, why was he fired when he started investigating Burisma?
Again, because apparently he's corrupt and he's not really investigating him.
I've never had anyone be able to make that make sense to me. Why is it that he gets fired? There's an investigation opened into the prosecutor's office the second that he starts investigating Burisma. That was the whole issue. Yeah. How could he be in bed? What?
Again, what we're gonna listen.
I guess you could say that prosecutorial misconduct, and that he didn't find the things wrong with Burisma fast enough, but he's continued to go after them even after he was fired as prosecutor. Again. It was only after that the office closed the case on it. Sorry, it's just that I happen to know this issue, so...
Yeah, again.
Let's see.
That's what the story we were fed by DC, or... This is complex. It's not like playing checkers. But he could just say, yes, the board saw it as a bad thing that Shokin
I have a
fired,
very generous pour of whiskey, so
that effect.
I may get...
All right.
Yes, we felt that we were better off with Shokin.
Substance stream.
But for some reason, this double talk that Archer engages in seems obvious to me and telling, but not even worth commenting on to Bump. And this goes.
But also, recall the thing is that the only reason that Archer was hired for the same reason, because Devin Archer was Hunter Biden's friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So both of them were Nepo hired. The only reason either one of these guys was working at Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company, for which neither of them had any kind of educational or professional background,
is because of nepotism.
Is because of nepotism, and specifically because of Joe Biden's investment and involvement with Ukraine post-Maidan.
Mm-hmm.
My general feeling that
we all know
so much of the press has lost their nose for news. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong about this. You can be the judge. Send me an email to podcast@comedycellar.com and let me know what you think. I'm going to watch the show now, and I think I'll try to cut in some of the testimony and evidence that Bump and I both alluded to, but we didn't have time to find and read at the time because it was getting pretty testy between us.
That's the fucking point, mildly.
Here it is, my interview with Phillip Bump about the Hunter Biden story. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Live from the Table. My name is Noam Dwarman. I'm the owner of the Comedy Cellar. We're here on Sirius XM Radio. I have with me Mr. Dov Davidoff.
Yes.
And this is a show I'm looking very much forward to. We have with us Washington Post columnist
I like the way he looks like Jon Stewart if he was more of a hippie.
Yeah.
Phillip Bump, who is there any other? He has a book coming out.
Came out in January, yeah.
Put the mic closer to you if you don't mind.
I
Book
do.
came out in January. What's the name of the book?
It's called The Aftermath, The Last Days of the Baby Boom and the Future of Power in America.
Wow.
And this is about.
Okay, I want to say something real quick. Body language check. He starts out arms folded. He's in a defensive posture.
Oh yeah, that much is very much evident if, as you'll see.
Just look. Body
He does
language
not look
reading
very comfortable
is-
at all already.
Body language reading is not it's not a science at all, let alone a precise one. But I have degrees in communication, and one of the things that we do study is body language and something called verbal or nonverbal leakage. Nonverbal leakage is body language. So when your internal thoughts are being betrayed by your body language, arms crossed, defensive posture, he's already not happy. He's starting out in a bad mood.
People said that Sitch has entered the chat. I said to Aiden, this guy is what you would get if you melded Sitch and Destiny. And if either of you know their positions, then oh dear God, you know where this is gonna go.
I asked
Being interviewed by a high Jon Stewart.
Oh, also thank you, Kizza. That's so
somebody,
cute.
I don't want to say his name, who is the smartest guy in America who thinks that the Hunter Biden story is a nothing burger?
Those two things to me are mutually exclusive.
No, who is the smart? No, he actually framed it quite correctly. Who is the smartest idiot or liar? It's one or the other.
Yeah. The smartest
So either,
person.
like,
you
who-
can't be
who's-
smart and believe the Hunter Biden thing isn't legit.
No.
You have to be like disillusioned or just an idiot.
If we're talking about it on an IQ curve, right? If only people under a certain IQ precipice believe that this thing is true, then which is the person who has the highest IQ out of all of the idiots, right? Like that would be the smartest person who believes it, or who is the smartest person who is lying. These are both applicable to his statement.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. I stand corrected, but I still just don't like the framing.
No,
And
But thank you.
this guy told me, Phillip Bump. And
I sound like a more Chad Total Biscuit. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Is he dead yet? He had cancer, didn't he?
Is he dead yet? Jesus Christ.
No, because I mean, I phrased that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that
my
sounded
God, no,
really
I
horrible.
phrased it so horrible. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to phrase it like that. I didn't know if he died. I thought he was dying.
Has he
I heard
passed
that
on?
Has he
would have
passed away?
Yes.
Oh my
Is he
God.
dead yet?
Oh my
Jesus
God. I can't believe I said that.
Well, you're a high, that's your
Oh, it's
excuse.
so mean. What? Is Total Biscuit still alive, Bill? Okay, he's been dead for years. All right.
They've had time.
That's
Bill, I
not
said,
better,
is
by
he
the way.
dead
Oh, he's been
yet,
dead
though?
for years. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
Even in the dead, the guy gets mocked here. Like, even the chat's
Yeah,
like,
but
what the
speaking of
fuck,
dead,
Ed?
Jim is alive. Jim is alive. Jim did stream it. Jimmy Buffett. Oh wait, did Jimmy Buffett die?
Yeah, he died
Jimmy
yesterday.
Buffett died today?
Yesterday, I
I
think.
hope he's having a. He's gonna have a cheeseburger in paradise. Rest in peace, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Organic, I'm sure.
the guy who said it was an estimable guy.
Wow.
So I am of the opposite opinion,
Okay.
and I want to talk to the person, the smartest person I can find on planet Earth
All right.
who disagrees with me.
That's great.
Okay, well, I hate to disappoint you, but I would not say the Hunter Biden story is a nothing burger.
Okay.
I would say
Yeah.
that the effort to extrapolate from Hunter Biden to his father is, at this point, a nothing burger.
Okay,
Like,
so
there's a
Okay,
distinction
good.
there.
I'm looking forward to the
I
explication.
accept the distinction, and I disagree with you on that. I
Fine,
think,
great.
By the way, he's going to undermine his own point several times in this interview, because how in the hell
that's
can you
right.
say... Yeah, well, of course, because how can you say... Hunter Biden has nothing to do with this. But the only reason he was on the board of Burisma is because his father's connections. It's like...
Right. No, he said, yeah, Joe Biden has nothing to do with this. But that's the problem that they all run into. What I've come across when discussing this issue with people is that they want a smoking gun, and then we provided them with smoking guns, and then they want, no,
want
I need
fire.
a smoking gun with his finger holding it. And it's like, and we provide a picture of it. It's like, no, but I actually need a video of it, and we provide that. And it's like, but I need a up close picture of a video of the finger pulling the trigger, and that's the only kind. And then the level of requirement for evidence
constant goalpost
in this
moving.
case constantly is moving the goalposts. Whereas compare and contrast to Trump, of course, where he's just guilty of anything and anything. We
yeah,
lob at
especially
him.
with Russia.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
the thing that I said to Aiden before is with this thing, these people see a building and they see every window is pouring out with smoke, but they don't see fire. And all of us go, that building's on fire. How do you know? Because there's smoke, but there's no fire. So how do you know? Because we can see the smoke,
Right.
you fucking morons. That is
I mean,
essentially
it's-
the story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so freaking obvious. Like, my good
I'll pull
God.
up if needed, I'll pull up my Ukraine doc. I guess I might as well do that now. Let's just play it so I have all the sources on hand.
Yeah.
I think it's terrible for the father.
For the layman out there, should we provide a little synopsis of what's actually taking place? Because I don't think a lot of people are clear. They're only clear on their emotions associated with the names
Really?
of the
You
parties.
sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so, but obviously I'm going to do it from my perspective. So
Do it, but do,
hopefully-
By the regime's perspective is what that means.
Yeah.
To defend Biden's asshole like my own depends on it.
not
there's
offending.
so much to cover. Do it, but do it really
Because it's important for
succinctly.
the audience. Not
Yeah.
everybody's.
I mean, the upshot is Hunter Biden was working as a businessman. He has a law degree, and he was
Which he didn't use in any way when he
Yeah.
was
What
dealing
does
with
it have
charisma.
to do?
Yes, with an energy
Yeah,
firm.
I'm sorry. That doesn't have anything to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But unrelated.
pretty obviously trading on his name during the time in which Joe Biden was.
Yes.
Okay, so how the
So
fuck did
now is Joe Biden not implicated then?
yeah, exactly. You see what I mean? Like originally from the get go, your own point is already undermined like
We're
50%
30
at
seconds
least.
in, and he's already defeated his own point.
Yeah,
You're
both working in the Obama White House, then after he had left the Obama White House, and
working in the
since
Obama White
the
House.
Yes.
taking control
He
of the
was
House
vice
in
president.
January in particular, there have been a number of investigations that have sort of dug into the business dealings of Hunter Biden and associated Biden family members, including Hunter's uncle, Joe's brother,
Yep.
James Biden, and some other people that are sort of in the Biden family who
Yeah.
received.
but guess what? This has nothing to do with Joe. Just everyone around him gets money from through Hunter.
How interesting.
It's
How
like-
interesting.
Fucking jeez.
money, and it's not clear if the money was directly from business deals that Hunter Biden made. But in essence, the question.
Well, of course not.
What?
That-
It's not clear. It's not clear
by the-
that the money was from.
That's like saying, "Hey, look, I made money in this nefarious way, but I didn't get directly through drugs. It went through this like 5 businesses I rinsed it through."
That's. I mean that's mafioso tactics.
Yeah, that's literally
I
what they
wouldn't
did.
Watch it. But there was a former mob guy who served like several like a
Yeah, I
decade
know.
in prison for being in the mob who said like, oh yeah, in the New York mob, like yeah, Biden's doing that's exactly what we does, or and like he walked through exactly how they create all these shell companies, these fake companies that do nothing other than just exist on paper. They don't have physical locations, and
Yeah,
they
of
do
course.
exactly what Hunter Biden did.
Yeah, of course, everyone fucking knows this.
Question is, and the idea that's being propagated by Republicans is that Joe Biden was involved in
Republicans.
this to a significant extent, and
How could he not have been?
They believe benefit.
You just said that he was selling the influence of his father, which is when you go and read the emails to and from the Burisma executives, they talk specifically
Oh,
about,
you're gonna love when they bring up the emails.
they talk very specifically about can you introduce us to your father? Can you set up a meeting with your father? Over and over and over again. Let's not
Again,
even talk
wait-
about 10% for the big guy.
Again,
right?
wait till you hear what he has to say.
Right, this is just the
benefited
introduction.
financially
Because,
from these business relationships.
Do you see now I said you would get annoyed by this?
yeah.
It's been less than 5 minutes and already you're spitting roaring fire.
Although they have, as of yet, been unable to prove any such allegation.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, really fair. That was
Okay,
really
great.
articulate. That was great.
He's-
Help
he's,
me.
He's a professional,
You know,
Bob.
I mean-
He's the brightest guy
Professional bullshit. Huh?
in the country that disagrees with
There
you.
you go.
Okay, so where should
Setting the
where
bar
should I
real-
start? So
real
let me,
high
let me
there.
ask you a few questions to see what kind of factual basis we have in common. I want to start maybe. So this is my basic feeling.
What an insane thing to say, by the way. What factual basis do we have in common? Because that's where we're at right now, by the way, in the world. Is it like, what facts can we both agree on? Not what are the facts, but
No.
what facts will you accept as reality?
Yeah, pretty much.
Feeling is that what we're seeing is akin to an ocean full of sharks who have simultaneously lost their ability to smell blood in the water. The press seems to have lost its ability to alert itself to obvious facts that need to be followed up on, and I believe they do that intentionally or subconsciously because they just don't want to pursue it. But
Because
as
of
Harry,
political
Yes.
Harry Enton's father, the judge, said he'd rather have 10 examples of circumstantial evidence than one example of direct evidence, because he didn't say this second part, because each example of circumstantial evidence represents a probability, and when you start multiplying probabilities by probability,
composite
it
is
becomes
higher than the
almost
one.
impossible for all these things to have happened. The circumstantial evidence here is everywhere, and I'm going to start by also saying
We'll say something about that point. I think if you have direct evidence, you have a video of someone just pointing a gun at someone point blank and shooting them in the back, and then stealing their wallet. I mean, that's one type of direct evidence.
I'm
The problem is
amazed that you use that example because it's extremely close to example they use in this fucking video.
Really?
Yes,
But,
like almost word for word.
Wow. But here's the thing: is that in terms of direct evidence, yeah, that's.
Are you sure
great
you haven't
direct-
watched this beforehand?
No, I have not.
My God, like
But-
the parallels between your examples are fucking uncanny.
Well, because it's kind of the obvious go-to. So yeah, I mean that would be the best kind of direct evidence. But if you don't have direct evidence, then if you have a whole bunch of circumstantial evidence that all points in the exact same direction, then at some point you have to Occam's razor it. Okay? Like this idea, I mean, the standards to which Hunter Biden is being held are not held to any other person in any other criminal or non-criminal circumstance when it comes to legality.
Of course.
It's preponderance of evidence, and the preponderance of evidence is that Hunter Biden was given a job, and his friend Devin Archer were given jobs at Burisma because of Joe Biden's personal involvement with the government of Ukraine. That's just what it is. That's what all the evidence points to.
The cope is going to be great.
that we should expect to see a check winding up in Joe Biden's account is absurd.
Okay.
True.
I guess I'm going to go this way. So, you know, I grew up in a very, very close family with me, my father, and my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And when my father did well, that benefited my grandmother. There was never any, you know, no money that came to my father ended up deposited in my grandmother. But when she needed it years later, she had it. Anybody who did anything for me, financial or otherwise, this was the most important thing in my father's life. He didn't need the check written out to him. Anybody who would do anything to help me was like doing something for my father. And this is this is how families work. So
exactly.
Yeah, but let's leave
All
that
the
aside.
Italian
Do
families.
you agree? Let's start with
But that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's worth pointing out. His anecdote is worth pointing out. Is that sometimes people will do things for you because they owe one of your parents a favor, or sometimes people, rarely the other way around, but usually that's how it works. But it can, I suppose, work the other way around too. But the way that in that you do something really nice for somebody, and they're like, oh well, I see your parents, I'll get them a holiday gift or something. Those are called social bonds. They're normative. Unfortunately, they can become easily nepotistic.
with the latest revelations, the Devin Archer.
Okay, but I don't want to leave that aside, and so I hope we can come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back.
Ooh, defensive body stance.
But this is the first key question, the threshold question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that Joe Biden knew that he was helping his son when he did things like make these calls, receive these calls in front of them, take a meeting with these people?
So this is a question that is presented in a particular frame that I think is worth challenging. by
Okay.
itself.
No,
So
no,
here's
no,
what we
no. Stop. There is no framing to that question. There was no framing to that question. Don't use words like framing if you don't know what the fuck they mean, you toad. Oh, now you've intruded on my realm. The term framing has a very specific meaning in communication research. He did not frame it in any way. He asked you a very simple question: do you think Joe Biden knew that
there was any kind of involvement that Hunter had been talking to people behind the scenes and setting up these interviews. That's a pretty clear, unframed, unspun question. But he doesn't want to answer it because he knows the answer is yes, of course, Joe knew.
Here's what we know. We know from testimony from Devin Archer in particular, Devin Archer having been a business partner of Hunter Biden's, that there would be times, 20 occasions, he said, over the course of something like a decade of the two of them working together, during which, in particular, Joe Biden would be calling his son Hunter. Hunter would pick up the phone as he was in a meeting with other people, put it on speakerphone, and say, hey, here's my dad. Dad, say hi. Do I think that Joe Biden...
That's not what's in the documents. That's not what's in the documents.
Also,
it's email after email after email after correspondence of, we know these meetings happen. We see how they were set up. And it wasn't just one or two over the course of, he said 20 over the course of 20 years or something like that. No.
Also,
it was 20 over the course of 2 years. Here he is on the phone or whatever. But that's something you would maybe do with friends, right? Would you do that in front of your business colleagues? I don't think so. Oh, did the stream dip for a minute?
yeah, but it's back to one.
Okay.
Just
Anywho,
refresh, you'll be alright.
Yeah, sorry guys. I don't know what that's about. I could see doing that with friends, right? Like if you happen to have a famous parent or something, like if your dad is, I don't know, Mick Jagger or something, you'd be like, oh, yo, my dad is calling me, like, say hi, Dad, I guess. Something like that. You know what I mean? If you have a super famous dad.
Yeah.
Volume, please. I don't know which one of us.
I think
the video.
It's probably the video overall.
Okay.
But I would imagine,
fiddle with it, I suppose.
I would imagine though, if the whole thing is, hey, look, you're only on this fucking board because your father's name, and your father calls and goes, hey, look, put him on voicemail. That is, or on speakerphone. That is the reason why. It's because the only freaking reason is because of your freaking name. If he's calling you, why the hell? Like, if he only got the freaking position because of his father's name, then you damn well know his father knows he's freaking there.
Precisely.
Like, come on. Like, how much? Like, who are you kidding? Seriously.
I mean,
this is absurd.
You have to, again, for his deniability to be cracked, you have to just deny everything, and again have the most babe in the woods kind of interpretation of every single event, that it was all just coincidence, it's all just accident. At some point, things stop being coincidences. They become a pattern, okay? Oh yeah, I'll close the poll now. So reality is what we think it under bumps Trump, and it seems to already be the case. But, yeah. I could see putting your famous parent on the phone if you're hanging out with friends, but at a business meeting, I don't think so.
Yeah, of course.
Not in this case. Not when your dad is not just famous, but the vice president of the most powerful country on earth. Yeah, I don't think so. And this is a energy company that has a lot to gain by having swing also with the vice president of the most powerful country on earth.
Indeed.
Just saying. It goes both ways.
Cognizant of the fact that Hunter Biden was in those meetings, was aware that Hunter Biden was probably
it is a
using
little
that as
low.
a way to bolster himself. Yes, I think he probably was aware of
the video. It is a little low. Do you want to turn it up a little bit?
I can't. It's already on full volume.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Does that mean that
probably or for sure?
I don't know. I can't read his mind, but I think he was probably aware of it.
Well, how many times?
Look, I'm
How are you probably aware of something? Oh yeah, I'm probably aware that my son is talking to one of the most corrupt people in all of fucking Ukraine. Seriously.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Come on.
Work for the Washington Post probably means for sure in layman's
how many
terms.
times?
There you go. That's quite the admission.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, probably means
crazy. That Washington Post, when they think they probably know something,
they look for plausible deniability.
Yep.
Have you ever called up and had conversations about the weather with strangers? Never.
Strange. I don't understand.
He
wasn't calling Hunter Biden's business associates. He's calling his son.
Right.
Yeah, when they were
during the middle of the workday.
Yes, and also when they say I'm gonna put them on speakerphone, who do you think they're talking to?
Yeah, who's it going to be?
Why else would they need to be? Why else would they need to hear from Joe? If he's only there because of the Hunter Biden, because of the Biden name, and you're calling people when they're talking to business associates, why else would he put them on speakerphone? Like, come on.
He's going to be talking to Mykola Zlochevsky.
Yeah, that's actually the point.
Obviously.
And this was particularly in the time
that-
after Beau Biden had died, and he was building a stronger relationship
Well,
with his son.
normally when you get a call when you're in a meeting,
Oh,
say, "Dad, I'll call
every
you back in
time
a
with
minute."
Yeah, but that
those
was Hunter Biden's
stuff.
decision, not Joe Biden's decision. Was Hunter Biden
No,
trying to
there were
leverage
also,
those calls? Certainly.
Archer also said that Hunter called Joe.
He said there were
sometimes.
occasions in which that had occurred. Yes.
Yes, so
right. And
that-
but
It's not just that, it's also the emails. The leaked emails that show that Hunter Biden spoke to other people at Burisma and said, hey, do you want me to set up a meeting with my dad on more than one occasion?
I know, but we're just focusing on the phone calls right now, so hold on.
Okay, sorry.
do you have children? Do you have children?
Yes.
If your son calls you, do you know what it is, or do you just take the call?
No, I don't. If I'm in a business meeting, I'll usually.
But that's not what you're saying. You're saying Hunter Biden called Joe. If Joe Biden picks up Hunter Biden's call and Hunter Biden's in a meeting with people, it's not Joe's fault for answering. Nor
But why did he call his dad during the middle of a business meeting, you ding dong? Does he not realize he's defeating his own point already?
No, we're not.
Why would Hunter Biden call his dad in the middle of a business meeting if it were not to leverage his power
And then put them on
position?
speakerphone.
And put him on speaker.
Like, really,
And-
come on.
And let's do the opposite. Why would Joe Biden call his son during the middle of the workday and then respond in the affirmative, yeah, put me on speakerphone? Excuse me. Either way, this does not pan out as being kosher.
Or is it Joe's fault if Hunter Biden answers the phone when Hunter Biden's in a business?
No,
meeting?
no. I'm saying, listen.
This is really pedantic.
Okay, so let's move back. This is
Sure, that's fine.
Burisma was identified by the State Department as a corrupt company.
Sure.
Biden made speeches. Where did I have it? I had it here. This is from Reuters. Biden said the United States was ready to help Ukraine stabilize and strengthen.
By the way, let's be honest for a second. There's no such thing as corruption that is only one way.
Right.
The United States tolerates all kind of fucking corruption as long as it benefits their game.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so when someone
and anyone
says,
who thinks that's not true,
yes,
I
so
gotta
anyone
break
says,
this
oh,
to you.
we're investigating corruption, the same way that it says, oh, we're for democracy. Except when it comes to Saudi Arabia. Then we can tolerate absolute monarchy because they're fucking petrodollars propping up our damn
Well,
economy.
of course. But it's always the same case. The government, we have investigated ourselves and found us
Yes.
to be guilty of no fault. Yeah,
Yes,
great.
so whenever
very
you
believable.
whenever you
Great.
hear
Love
any
it.
government try to be moral when it comes to anything, no, they're only as moral as far as their own interest goes. There's a reason why Kissinger said that to be friends with the United States is bad, or to be an enemy of the United States is bad. To be its friend is fatal.
Yeah.
Because they please stop this crap. This regime, the American regime, I've said this before, it's not the ideological descendants of the founding fathers. It is 21st century fucking politicians. It is the most powerful country in the world. Therefore, it is going to attract fucking assholes. That is the nature of power. The sooner Americans realize that, you are the power structure for the nexus of globalist corruption. And it's difficult for Americans to understand this because you're inside the empire. Aiden can probably attest to this because she's outside of it. Now she's looking in and go like, holy shit, we do a lot of dumb fuck stuff.
I do think that I have a unique perspective on things, as do you.
Yes, because we're outside of our birth nations.
Right. And have lived internationally outside of where we grew up, which I really do think, because it expanded my horizons on stuff in a way that, even though I had spent a lot of time being interested in politics before I left, I mean, I'd doing the channel and stuff for years at that point, it changes your perspective on things. It really does.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people get too, particularly Americans who haven't lived outside of the United States, have a very understandably Amerocentric worldview, where it is very difficult
Anglo-American.
to fathom that the United States, while it may be the most powerful country on earth, isn't necessarily thereby also the greatest in terms of
morality.
I think it probably is one of, if not the greatest, but it doesn't make it infallible.
No.
And there's even
Or
people
morally
who aren't-
righteous.
right. And even people who don't buy into the whole like USA kind of thing, still have that mindset, I've noticed, because it's really something that is inculcated into us as children, that the United States is world savior.
Yep.
That we go around the world fixing things. That's what our job is to bring liberty and justice and democracy all over the world, and that's a good thing.
Whereas anyone who's ever looked at that objectively, you're just basically destroying cultures for the sake of improving it via the American way. That's basically all you do. Like the idea of,
I
we're going to spend, how many trillions
So
of
we can
dollars
make
for
money
20
off of
fucking
you, yeah.
years and then give the Taliban back to the Taliban, or give Afghanistan back from the Taliban to the Taliban after 20 fucking years and killing so many countless of people.
All either for political or economic reasons.
Yeah.
And usually they are intertwined.
Yeah.
So
Or
yep.
oil.
Anywho. Yep.
The economy wanted, but he warned leaders they needed to crack down on abuses within the political system.
Right.
The only
Yeah,
thing
'cause
worse
Joe
than
Biden
having
never does
no
that.
hope at all is having hopes rise and see them dashed repeatedly on the shoals of corruption. He referred to the cancer of corruption. Actually, so now you're in charge of corruption in Ukraine. You're making these speeches about corruption in Ukraine, and your son is going to work for the criminals. The criminals. And you're having 20 casual conversations and meeting with them.
Right.
You know, listen, the alternative is that we need to get this guy. This guy's a fucking
Look,
idiot.
You're conflating a lot of different
No, I'm
things.
not
Not conflating. really.
You are unfairly. You are absolutely.
What am I
Look,
conflating?
you
Oh,
asked me,
yeah,
I'm the
please.
expert here, right? That's why I'm.
What
sitting
am I
here.
conflating?
Here's what you're conflating. These 20 calls were not all with people from Burisma present, right? That's not the case. We don't know how many of these calls involve potential Burisma executives, if any.
Let's say it's just one.
Yeah, that's literally the point he's going to make.
Say it's 3 calls.
Let's say it's 0. Why do you get to pick a number?
But it's
We
not
don't know.
0. But it's not 0. We knew that there were that these calls were made. We knew that these emails were made. So why are you coming up with a false hypothetical? If it was 0, it wouldn't be an issue. Holy God, this guy's stupid.
They are.
No.
But this is important because Burisma is the only thing that the Republicans have been able to hang their hat on. Burisma and these tenuous ties, which your presentation of
You wanna start getting into China?
with that wasn't fair.
No,
to
Archer
what
was
the
talking
reality
about
was.
Burisma.
No, he was talking about all the relationships.
He's talking about Burisma, and we know that Biden had dinner with this guy Przarsky, whatever his name is. We know that.
Zlochevsky.
Yeah, that's a bad look. Absolutely.
Let's
sure.
just take that one thing.
Sure.
You're in charge of corruption for the United States of America. This company.
Yeah, that's a bad look. He only met with the guy and said, "Thank you for meeting me with your father," that Joe Biden fucking lied about.
Right.
Remember, he was on
Why
stage.
would
He
Biden
was
lie about it?
He was on
Why would
stage
Biden
saying, "I do not know anything about my son's associates." And then there's the email that came out and literally just said, "Thank you for letting me meet with your father."
Yes, it was.
So why do you
we
think he
don't
lied
just
about
have
that?
We have the setup email and then that follow-up email, knowing that Hunter asked, I believe, actually, if I recall correctly, that Hunter was like, "Do you want me to, set you up to meet with my father while you're in D.C.?" I believe to Zlochevsky, but it was somebody at Burisma.
Isn't there a freaking
I've seen the
picture of it
email
as
multiple
well?
Times. Yeah, we've got pictures of all of the emails. Sets up the meeting, and by the way, like I said, it's Hunter who initiates the offer. Then Zlochevsky, I believe, again, it was Zlochevsky, emails him back afterwards, says, "Thanks for hooking me up with your father for dinner or whatever."
Yeah.
One meeting between the guy who is in charge of the United States relationship with Ukraine and its
Fixing the
new
corruption.
transitional government is having private meetings with the guy who runs the biggest energy company in that corrupt country that is restructuring itself, and has put his son on the board of directors, and that's just all a coincidence? Yeah, what? Come on, dude. Come on. Ridiculous. One meeting. But it wasn't just one. I love how his deflection is, but what if it was 0? We know it's not 0. We can count that one out. But let's say it's just one. Just one is still impropriety.
Company has been identified as corrupt.
He was not in charge of corruption. He was part of an administration, one of whose values was to target corruption. And
He was
That's not saying much, though, is it?
specifically, but he was specifically, this was part of Biden's particular role as VP, was this
Yeah.
corruption stuff. He went to Ukraine during the Euromaidan twice, I believe. There's all kinds of pictures of him with everybody who was running, for the prime ministership at that point in time, including the Nazi guy. Their names are escaping me, but they're in my document over here. He met with all those people. He met with them consistently. He talked to Victoria Nuland, or he didn't talk to Victoria Nuland, but the State Department had a vested interest via the Victoria Nuland links. The State Department had a vested interest in who won, and Joe Biden was right there on the stage.
What was
with
the
all
Nazi
of
guy's
these
name?
people.
Tanya Book, something like that.
Ola T. Honeybook, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, and Yatsenyuk was the one who got eventually.
Yeah,
got in.
Yats. Who had ties to the
He
CIA,
looks like
by
a
the way.
rat. Did he?
He's defense. He's a defense guy. He definitely has had ties to the U.S. Military professionally over years. I would imagine he had a military industrial background. I would say.
In Ukraine. But that's important because Biden was not the first actor in the administration to raise
Doesn't matter.
questions about
He's the vice
Of course it
president.
matters.
No, it doesn't. He's the vice president. He's in charge of American policy in Ukraine. American policy in Ukraine is to root out corruption.
Sure.
Burisma is identified as criminal. They're throwing bribes all over the country.
Right. There are some significant questions both about Burisma and the owner, Mykolas Lozchevsky. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, that's true.
He decides it's okay to have dinner with these people. Now, how is that perceived? Now, that's the only reason he would do that, obviously, to hook his son up in some way. How is that perceived by Ukrainians?
So I don't remember the timeline of when this dinner.
I like the way he doesn't
I
answer
do.
the question.
He didn't answer the question, but I remember the timeline, doofus. So let's go into it. And I've got the timeline actually right here up on my computer, so I can't forget. What's up, Bill? 2 shots of vodka, yes. All right, so I've got the timeline up here, a broad Ukraine timeline, and we're talking about Zlochevsky here, right? Zlochevsky.
Can I just say,
okay.
I took a sizable swig of whiskey, and I can feel it already, actually. So if I sound whimsical and calmer,
Whimsical.
yes, it is because the whiskey is kicking in, and wee.
Here we go. Biden visits Ukraine as the public face of the Obama administration's handling of excuse me. Actually, I got to go back a little bit before this.
Okay, go on.
Where did we start?
Leo the
gonna
dork
read you
over here is not going
I've
anywhere.
got the timeline because I've got the freaking timeline on it. So we
Yes, you
we
do.
can be
Well done
very
to you.
Clear about all of this and how it happened. All right. Actually, where do we start? Because this goes back a little bit. Okay. So we have another Biden thing here. John McCain. Okay, so Euromaidan protests start happening. Blah, blah, blah. A whole bunch of
2014, yes.
American political people show up in the 5 weeks between November and December. This is of 2014 or 2013, excuse me. Obama administration Assistant Secretary for State of Eurasian Affairs and European Affairs Victoria Nuland makes 3 trips to Ukraine, meeting with Ola Honeybook. She then says at a conference that the United States has spent $5 billion on democracy projects in Ukraine. John McCain meets with Ola Honeybook on December 14th. He makes an appearance at Independence Square on the 15th.
Hold on a second. Wait, go back to that. They spend $5 billion on democracy projects.
Democracy projects in Ukraine.
What the
He
fuck does
said
that mean?
in 2013.
The previous guy was already elected.
I know. But Nuland said that at a business conference in 2013.
Democracy project just basically means we're going to overthrow someone and install how we think the Ukraine should be run.
Then in 2014, on February 4th, the Nuland Piat call is leaked where they talk about who they want
Yeah, like
to
the
have
G-Man
elected.
says, democracy project's not sketchy at all. Yeah, right.
Right. Let's see. Then Putin offered Ukraine $15 billion in loan bailouts. That was on December.
He's
18th of
trying to
2013.
influence the Ukrainians. Yeah, like you fuckers weren't trying to do by putting
Right.
boots on the fucking
But they
ground
both were,
and
that's the
shoving
thing.
weapons. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's this is what I mean. The ones say, "Oh, that's corruption." Like, yes, and you're trying to do the same thing by bringing them to the Western sphere of influence. Like, please stop with this crap. It's influence peddling. And the Russians beat you. They put a better deal. Like, can you please stop with this crap? Like, and what are you going to do with it? Oh, yeah, you're going to shove them full of weaponry under the guise that we need to protect them from Russia. And then you've been doing this for what, like how many years now? Ever since the late 90s, the first time you fucking expanded NATO? And then Russia just goes, yeah, we're just going to kick off our doorstep. And then go, oh my God, Russia is illegally invading Ukraine. It's like, motherfucker, you've been expanding NATO for over 3 decades right now. Your own fucking statesman told you Russia's going to act this way. And then when they do, you suddenly feign interest like you didn't do anything to fucking provoke this. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Right. Then on February the 18th of 2014, the Euromaidan protests escalate into riots. There's snipers, people on both sides, but one of the health ministers or someone high up in the health department, Olga Bologomets, she says that they don't look like, that they look like it's probably from the EU or US.
Hey, Aiden, can I pitch you a
Peyton Ashton was
hypothetical?
shocked by it. Yeah.
Let's say that China formed a military alliance with Mexico and Canada. How do you think America would react?
Oh, furious.
Yeah, exactly. But when Ukraine has a bunch of Western weapons on Russia's border, oh, that's totally fine.
I mean, obviously, but
Yeah.
we have to pretend like it's
How
different.
did the Cuban Missile Crisis go down?
I've brought it up so many times, it's not even worth doing anymore. So where does the Pete Ashton call?
Oh yeah, Newland is
that's
a total
where, that's where
psychopath.
they talk about Olga Bologometz's findings.
I so want you to say
That's
Uga
on
Booga so
six. Oh, Olga Bologometz. It's a difficult name. I believe I'm pronouncing it correct. Olga
probably.
Bologometz. I think I'm close enough to it. I think I pronounced it differently in my video. I think I might have called her Blogometz or something. I know I pronounced it wrong in the video though, and then I've tried to remember it.
Lucifer, we should get
that's-
Sitch on the show. We've already been on their show discussing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've already talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Carrie,
I could probably only bring Sitch on here because Adam blocked me on Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't. That was weird. Adam blocked Spoon the other day on Twitter. What'd you do to him?
I disagreed with him and probably trolled him on something because Adam says a lot of dumb shit on Twitter.
Yeah.
He says a lot of dumb shit on Twitter. The dude fucking believes in
some stuff I
OBI
don't
and
agree with,
MMT.
yeah.
Like, dear God. I mean, God,
It's
you-
mostly the MMT stuff that I don't agree with. Yeah.
But it's just because he's got a childlike fantasy notion of reality. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but if you listen to the way that he
It
thinks,
sounds inherently disrespectful.
okay, fuck him then. But the way that he speaks about humanity, you can tell he is very Americanized. Like even Sargon said it to him, it's because you have it is your culture, and then you have a perspective that is intrinsically American. I think someone in my comment section said it's because Sargon said that I was right, and he's still pissed off about it. I hope that's not true. But mind you, I hope it is because it's funnier that way. I remember his reactions were like, Spoon? Like, yes, I can be correct about something.
But I do think he has the tendency to also block people, like, because he does well out on Twitter a little bit.
Oh, apparently he blocks a fair few people. Okay, never mind.
I've seen it happen a lot. Not to me, hopefully, but I haven't done anything again. So see, where are we gonna?
Redneck Ram, I'm not reading that. And
something even you can't read?
No, any super chat that involves a certain
I'll
three-letter
read
word
them.
that everyone wants me to say.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so here's where we get into it. So the Euromaidan they put Yatsenyuk in charge. It's in March. On April 21st, Biden visits Ukraine. First on April 16th. In April 16th of 2014, the Euromaidan has just ended. Victoria Nuland has got her guy in the seat of power, the prime ministership of Ukraine. On April 16th of 2014, days after the Euromaidan ends, Vice President Biden meets with his son Hunter's business partner, Devin Archer, at the White House. That's April 16th, 2014. Then on April 21st, Biden
French.
Then on April 21st.
It's just like the way you said Devon. This is very French.
Is it on Devon?
It's Devon. Yeah.
Oh, I had a friend named Devon. That's why.
It's very French.
My big gay black friend, his name was Devon. So
all I can hear is that one clip of Dank when someone slapped Macron and he goes, how French.
I can't help it. I can't help it. Like I said, my friend in high school, his name was Devon, and so that's when I see that name, I'm like, oh, it's Devon. Who was like a 6'6", like 400-pound gay, very flamboyant black man. I was good friends with. Anywho, so Biden visits Ukraine as the public face of the Obama administration's handling of Ukraine on April 21st. The next day, Devin Archer joins the board of Burisma. The next fucking day. On April 28th, British officials seized $28 million from the London bank accounts of Burisma's owner, Mykola Zlochevsky. It was a hostile fucking takeover. They took over, basically, Burisma, and then Hunter Biden joins the board less than a month later on May 12th. Hunter and Archer are asked by executive and advisors to the board of Burisma, Vadim Požarský, to use their influence to improve the company's image, specifically the image of, quote, NZ, which likely refers to Mykola Zlochevsky, as Mykola in Ukrainian is the spelling of Nicholas. So, NZ, Mykola Zlochevsky. This is all in a month.
Hold on a second. Wait, hold on. How you put it?
How French.
What have you done?
Oh, so I just put a clip of Dank where he just goes, "Ugh." It just kills me every time. Sorry, go on. So the way you just said Devin, I said as me cracking up. How French.
But I mean, so this happens within 2 months. We go from Joe Biden meets with Devin Archer. Within the week, he goes to Ukraine. The next day, Devin Archer joins the board of Burisma, and
wait, Joe met with Devin?
Yes, before he went to Ukraine.
I didn't even know that. I only thought he met with Hunter.
No, he met with Archer on April 16th of 2014. He goes to Ukraine on April 21st. Archer joins the board on April 22nd. And then Hunter joins the board on May 12th.
What?
Do you see why having actual information matters in these kinds of fucking situations?
Okay, I didn't even know that. I mean, I know Devin joined because of Biden. I thought it was Hunter, not because of Joe.
No, it's because... What? It's because of Joe Biden.
What?
I mean, how else
That
could
makes
you
even no
explain
sense.
that?
What the fuck?
By the way,
I'd
like to remind everybody of how much Hunter Biden was paid as a member of the board of an energy company.
It's
$83,000 a month.
Yeah. To do absolutely
To
fuck
do
all.
what? Exactly. Absolutely.
To expend energy via fire.
If you would
And a
like,
pipe.
I have all the emails here. On April 17th of 2015, Vadim Požarský, who was then in charge of Burisma, sent an email to Hunter Biden thanking him for inviting him to DC to meet his father. So it was not Zlochevsky, because Zlochevsky was kicked out when they brought Hunter and Archer in. So Zlochevsky's kicked out. He starts to be on the bad side. He gets all his banks start withholding money from him. And Vadim Požarský becomes the guy in charge, and that's the guy who we get the email from saying thanks for inviting him to DC to meet with his father, and then request another meeting with Archer in the near future. Or sorry, not with Archer, with Hunter.
This is some sketchy bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Well, no,
I can't speak to,
go ahead.
to that. I can say a few things. The first thing is that Joe Biden was part of an administration effort and an international effort to remove Viktor Shokin, the sitting prosecutor general in Ukraine, who is seen as being...
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to stick to just
well
answer
done.
my question and then say anything else you want. But my question is this. If he's sitting down
No,
with
he's not.
the criminal,
Don't let him get you on that.
From the Ukrainian point of view, in that corrupt country, I'll answer and you tell me. Don't they say the fix is in? The vice president sitting down with that. It's hands off Burisma.
So you don't think it's important what the time frame is in which that occurred?
Archer had
Yeah,
said,
I do think it's important when the time frame occurred. And I just told you what the time frame was. I just fucking told you. I'm sorry, real quick. I just told you what the time frame was. The time frame on that is somewhere in the vicinity of April of 2015, a year after his son joins the board of Burisma, that he meets with Vadim Požarský. All right?
If you're better
There's
now.
the time frame. Yeah, because I know the fucking time frame on this. A press button.
Sorry, there we go.
Everybody knows that Burisma was protected.
Well, the entire reason that Hunter Biden was on Burisma's board absolutely was to present the image of the Bidens being involved in Burisma's activity and being a protector of Burisma. Devin Archer absolutely said that. It seems very clear that that is the case. That's Hunter Biden. And there's no question. Look, I am not disputing with you at all.
But you just said the Bidens. And you know what that means.
Again, it's... Again, he's gonna keep digging a hole. Watch.
All right, keep digging it.
And I stipulated at the outset that what Hunter Biden was engaged in was definitely trading on his name. It was, I don't know.
I'm not talking about Hunter. I'm talking about Joe.
But I don't understand. How am I?
Yeah, that much is true.
If this is, I'm treating this as a good faith debate. We're having a good faith conversation.
No, you're not. I can tell from your body language when you went into it. You are not treating this as a good faith debate. Your body language from the outset.
You're there to defend the regime. Like, fucking please stop.
Yep.
Yeah. But you can't then set the terms of that debate so that they're only favorable to you. Of course, it's important to talk about Hunter Biden and the time frame of Hunter Biden's relationship with Burisma and the other outside pressures that exist on Burisma. If we're going to assess,
what outside pressures?
Joe Biden as having acted in a negative way.
What outside pressures? The Euromaidan? The Euromaidan, in which the Obama administration Secretary of State called up and said, "Here's who we want on the throne." In the prime ministership, that administration, the broader things that were happening in Ukraine, you want to talk about those things? Probably not. Not that Newland call. Not the Newland paid calls, no.
And I said, fuck the EU.
Time frame do you need to know?
Well, just tell me, for example. Yeah. It was in early 2015 when the Obama administration first started putting pressure on the ouster of Shokin, when there were questions.
Was it? Let's see. It was... it was September of 2015. Yeah. Okay. So close enough.
Questions about Shokin protecting Burisma by not turning over information to British investigators.
I don't think that was
later
it.
In that year when Joe Biden specifically did it. So when was this dinner? I don't remember when this dinner was.
March 20th, 2015. Is
right.
The dinner.
Fine. So this was before. This was right at the outset. Or I don't remember
Biden
when
made his anti-corruption speeches in 2014, at the end of 2014.
Sure, fine, great. Well, I mean, the primary pressure campaign on Shokin began in 2015.
And this was after Burisma.
So who else was at the dinner?
This was after Burisma had been identified as a corrupt enterprise.
Sure, but I don't remember how many other people were at the dinner. My recollection is that there were a number of people at.
Do you recall? My question is that if you're in charge,
the answer is the Ukrainians were not aware of the dinner. That's the answer. The broader answer.
Why is that?
The guy went back and told people he had dinner with the vice president.
Oh, okay, fine. Then some Ukrainians were. What do you?
Whoa! Hang on. So were the Ukrainian people aware? No. Was the board of Burisma, which has beaten one of its largest energy companies, has close ties to the Ukrainian government, for which the U.S. government had a definitive and clear pick for who they wanted to become PM? And was involved in numerous ways in terms of peacekeeping and democracy building operations in Ukraine. And they wouldn't have any kind of communication there. This guy's such a weasel, dude.
Yeah, I know.
You were asked what the Ukrainians thought, which I assume you meant the Ukrainian people.
What I'm getting at is
that he means. Oh my God.
No, he means the Ukrainian people.
In charge of
Does he?
American policy in Ukraine, and you've identified corruption as the number one problem, and your son. First of all, you should have stopped him. But your son takes a job.
Yeah, he should have, and he was warned by the State Department.
Your son takes a job with those people.
Right.
You do everything you can to make it clear to those people. Listen, stay the fuck away from me. You're criminals. I don't know what's going on with my son, but do not expect me to be chummy with you. Do not. I'm not having dinner with you. I'm not taking calls with you and you're putting me on speakerphone, whatever it is. And I'm saying that because he did that, well, okay, so when this happened, it was a big thing. And
you are putting a lot of weight on this dinner because this dinner exists. That's why we're having this conversation about this dinner. This dinner is important because the dinner is one of the few times in which one can point to a direct connection between Joe Biden and Burisma that appears to be intentional. We don't know that it's intentional. It appears to be intentional.
You already said that he played him on speakerphone at a meeting. What? Oh my God. Okay. Do you have a goldfish memory? You can't remember the things that you yourself said 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, he does this a lot.
What this conversation, though, elides is the other things Devin Archer said. Devin Archer saying, for example, under oath, under penalty of perjury, that there was no relationship, that Joe Biden was not involved in the business.
Oh, wow, I'm sure. Why would
gee, when that guy is the president of the United States and can pardon him for any reason, wonder why he wouldn't be too concerned about lying under penalty of oath. Huh. Particularly when he's got cheerleaders like you, Phil.
And so we have all this focus from Republicans and from Biden critics on the fact that these calls were answered. And yes, after a while, Joe Biden should have been like, "Hey, look, am I on speaker? Don't put me on speakerphone." Absolutely, I think that's a fair thing to say, given what we now know. But Devin Archer, who was the one who reported this, also said Joe Biden wasn't involved. We tried to give the impression that Joe Biden was involved, but he wasn't. But that's what we're doing. We're trading on it, which everyone understands and knows.
I don't understand how that makes any sense.
I'm sorry. We were selling our influence on the notion that that we know Joe Biden, because of the two of us, who, and again, remember, Biden meets with Hunter, or with Archer first. He meets with Archer first. Then he goes to Ukraine. Then Archer's hired by Burisma, and then Hunter's hired by Burisma. It's Archer meets with Joe, then Archer's hired by Burisma, then Hunter's hired by Burisma, in that order. So I'm sorry, and then over the next year or so, we get all these calls. We get all we get Biden meeting with what's his name again?
Which?
Shoot, the guy who was not Zlochevsky, the other one, the one who replaced him, and he has a meeting with him. Was it Poroshenko or something like that? Now I've already forgotten his name.
No, Poroshenko was the previous president.
Oh right, it starts with a P though. I've forgotten. Telling Klitschko, where is it in my document?
No, Klitschko was one.
Anyway, he goes and meets with the new face of Burisma, right? So, wait, it should be right. The guy's name? Oh, Pozharsky. Sorry. So he meets with Pozharsky. We know that happened. So he had the exact date. It was in March, but we have the meeting, or I have the email of thanks on April 17th of 2015. And all of this is just coincidental. I'm sorry. I like, this is absolute lunacy. Like, you have to be crazy to think these are all just coinky dinks.
And so the reason we're talking about this dinner is not because this dinner was necessarily important or revelatory. We're talking about this dinner because it's one of the few points when you talk about, having multiple circumstances.
No, I pointed out all the other points before it, dude.
Pieces of
and
evidence
afterwards.
to tie together. This is one of the very few circumstantial pieces of
there's
evidence
a lot.
that exists, and that's why this conversation is happening.
How come I can't fucking find this thing? I have it in an email. In the Wall Street Journal, Daniel Kalenyuk, head of Ukraine's Anti-Corruption Action Center. This is how the Ukraine says, if an investigator sees the son of the vice president of the United States is part of the management of a company, the investigator will be uncomfortable pushing the case forward.
Sure, 100%. Yes,
so,
and that's why he was on Burisma's
now,
board.
is that above Biden's ability to understand? Wouldn't Biden understand?
Wait a minute. Did he just contradict himself again?
He does this all the time.
Well, he was saying, wait a minute, I need to go back for a second. Wait, what? Hang on.
President of the United States is part of the management of a company. The investigator will be uncomfortable pushing the case forward.
Sure, 100%. Yes,
so,
and that's why he was on Burisma's board.
Is that above?
Why, who was on Burisma's? That's why Hunter was on Burisma's board? What he just told you is that another person who is from an anti-corruption organization within Ukraine says that Shokin was concerned about investigating Burisma, and he should have been because he was fired for doing it, by the way, would be concerned about looking into a company where the vice president of the most powerful nation on Earth's son is serving on the board, and he just went, yup, that makes sense, while arguing against that. Okay.
Of Biden's ability to understand? Wouldn't Biden understand that?
I mean, first of all, that quote I assume is a more recent quote. I don't know the extent to which.
This is from what this.
Well, I mean, it was post 2016.
No, that's from when that quote came out when Hunter took the job.
Okay, fine, totally fair.
Yeah.
I don't know the extent to which Joe Biden was aware of what Burisma was doing. He certainly should have been.
It was a controversy when Biden.
He meets with Devin Archer. He flies to Ukraine to speak and to do a little press tour. The next day after he lands in Ukraine, Devin Archer's on the board of Burisma. Okay. Sure, dude.
A lot of people were complaining about it when Hunter took the job.
Sure. And there were warnings, as I mentioned. George Kent from the State Department came to Joe Biden and said, this is a bad look. He should not be involved with this. And Joe Biden defended him. I'm not defending any of that. Right? I'm not defending any of it. He should not have been that. But here's the issue. The issue is, do we then extrapolate outward from there to Joe Biden doing favors on Hunter Biden's behalf? That's the question. And
yes, obviously. How else did he get the job, you moron?
It's
This is absurd.
Within a month. It's within 2 weeks, actually, it's 2 to 3 weeks after Biden's visit. Again, the next day, Archer's on the board. Within 3 weeks, Hunter's on the board. Really? Just an accident? In a country that Biden is supposed to be kind of like overseen as America's peacekeeping operation for this new and developing democracy. Where we decided who was going to get to be PM, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much.
At least if you have that interpretation of the Newland call, I know not everyone does.
To concede, and I guess maybe you understand why I'm pushing it.
No, lay it on me. Let's see what I don't concede.
Is that the Vice President of the United States, in charge of corruption, knew that when he was helping his son look good to the criminals, he was communicating to Ukraine, hands off Burisma.
Okay.
Well, son of a bitch.
Hold on, let's see what he
Prosecutor got
says.
fired.
You don't know that.
Yes.
I don't know that.
Well,
Yeah,
Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's best friend and former business partner, testified before lawmakers this week and revealed new information about Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukrainian natural gas from Burisma Holdings, RadarOnline.com can report. According to transcript from Archer's deposition released by the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday, Archer testified that Burisma brought Hunter onto its board to intimidate anyone who might try to interfere with the company legally. There you go. Case in point. Republican House
Archer's own testimony, which you are basing your entire argument on.
Yes. Archer claims
Archer's
directly
testimony.
contradicted Joe Biden's repeated assertions that he never discussed business with his son. The revelations have prompted House Republicans to consider launching an impeachment inquiry against the current president. I think Burisma would have gone out of business if it didn't have the Biden brand attached to it, Archer told Democratic House Representative Dan Goldman during his testimony on Monday. I think that is why he was able to survive as long as he did.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
There you go.
That's
Case in
from
point.
Devin's own testimony, my dude.
Yes.
And you're relying on it. But he just, here's the thing. I have to say this. I'm real done of talking about the Ukraine stuff. I don't care what element of it is. I haven't paid attention to any of the warfare for the last year, so I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But the historical, political, and the involvement of the United States stuff, I'm done. I don't want to talk to anybody about it who isn't basically you or someone else who like isn't a lunatic. And I'm not saying that everybody who I've talked about it is a lunatic, but who can't figure this stuff out. Do you know what I mean?
Also, it says
I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore because it's only it's just truth or lies. And I'm sorry, I'm tired of dealing with people who are uninformed about this shit and having to like baby step it.
It also says meanwhile, Archer also testified that then Vice President Biden met twice with his son's business partner at DC's Cafe Milano, not just once as was previously reported. The first meeting reportedly took place in the spring of 2014, and then the second one took place in April of 2015.
Yep. Those are the dates I have. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. And that is from Archer talking to the House committee. So, yeah, Mr. Rappo Fag, you're wrong.
He knew or he's
hang on, real quick.
Go on.
We've known this for years, though. Archer's testimony only backs up everything that was already in the emails. That we have preponderance of evidence. We have sources confirming one another. We have physical evidence in the form of photographs, in the forms of emails. We have tangible evidence
and testimony from business partners.
So let's not fuck around on this anymore.
That's not fair. It's simply not
Why
fair.
not fair?
I mean, people were saying it. People within the administration were warning him.
People within the administration were warning him. He should have been aware that having Hunter Biden there was problematic, of course. And
any person sophisticated enough to be president of the United States.
Yep. Thank you.
Who's fighting corruption, if he's up to that job, understands that You know what you said? If I had Eric Adams' son working here, and he introduced himself to the health inspectors, yes, I'm Eric, the mayor's son.
Sure.
Oh, we don't know that. Of course we know. You think? I mean, of course I know.
I'm conceding that point.
So
yes.
Biden. So this is that on steroids. He's the vice president of the United States. He's shaking hands with the criminals. He's taking calls. He's making small talk with the criminals. He knows he's communicating to the criminals.
Okay, let's parse.
Listen, I think you said he's selling
stop,
the illusion of
stop.
influence. So
Let's
am I wrong or am I
parse
right?
who the bad actors are. Let's parse who the bad actors are.
Am I wrong or am I right?
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not. You present this extended soliloquy about this theoretical Eric Adams hiring, and I'm expected to just say yes or no.
He gave you an
Hypothetical.
It's not a hypothetical. It's an analogy. Oh my God. This is someone who probably doesn't understand hypotheticals.
I mean,
so
it is hypothetical.
No, it's not. It's an he's
That's hypothetical.
It. I mean, I guess it is a hypothetical, but he's relating it to a different kind of scenario.
Yeah.
He's taking it out and saying, like, if the same thing
If I
happened
get introduced by, hey, look, I have government officials in my family. Why am I here? Like, fucking obviously, why? You even just said he only got there because of the Hunter. Freaking Hunter Biden himself. The only reason he's there is because of his father's name. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Exactly. That's by Hunter's own admission.
Yes. And we all know this. He doesn't have any freaking business experience to be on a board, an energy board. Like, come on.
He claimed that he did because he has a law degree. Which does he? Does he have an undergraduate? What does Hunter Biden? What is Hunter Biden degrees? What does he have? There's no way.
SDGs and a drug
Yale
problem.
Law School. No bachelor's. There's no way he's got a JD. There's no way this loser has a JD. If he does, that's a horrible shame. Let's see. Where does it say?
Well, he is the smartest person Joe Biden knows, apparently.
What does... It's so hard to even find what his background is. Adjustment functioning, Georgetown.
Aiden, he's a drug addict who gets pimped by his own father for money.
He does. He has a proper law degree.
That he's clearly never used. No.
No, I don't think he did. I don't. That's also bizarre. Okay, wait. Yeah, he graduated from Georgetown. Of course, that's a nepo baby school. I almost went to, but I couldn't afford it. Graduates from Georgetown and then Yale Law. That's nepo shit. He didn't earn either one of those things, just saying. So if his qualification is that, oh, he's got a law degree, really? You think he actually earned that? You think he earned either one of his degrees? Okay.
No to it. No. Let's take your example. You hire Eric Adams' son.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric Adams comes to work here. You do so understanding that perhaps Eric Adams' son talking to the health inspector will make it easier for you in your business, right? Eric Adams' son is complicit with that. He says, yes, fine, I'm happy to help play that role, right? Who are the bad actors there? It's you and Eric Adams' son. Does Eric Adams know that that's why he's been hired?
The analogy is not perfect. I was not making the analogy for that point. You're correct about what you just said. Logically correct. That was not my point.
Okay.
I actually disagree. I disagree. I think that if you know that your son is a crackhead and they're trying to peddle your influence, then yeah, you should expect that it's going to be because of your influence, and it's not out of just some kind of honest attempt at business. If your son is a crackhead, which obviously Hunter Biden is. So I'd put that caveat on that whole scenario.
My point is that everybody would read the fact that the mayor's son is working somewhere is that this place is not one you fuck with.
Sure, that's fine. Which is why you hired Eric Adams' son. Which is why Burisma hired Joe Biden's son. Yes, okay, fine. Yes, we're on the same page.
Now, if Eric Adams makes it clear, it tries to hook his son up with me, and Eric Adams believes I'm a criminal.
Sure.
Listen, let's get back to it.
Then what's Eric Adams do?
Okay, let's get off the Eric Adams. So hook his.
That's fine.
Everybody would read the fact that the mayor's son is working somewhere is that this place is not one you fuck with.
Sure, that's fine. Which is why you hired Eric Adams' son. Which is why Burisma hired Joe Biden's son. Yes.
I mean, it's a strange admission for him. So yeah, it's just you're admitting that the only reason they hired Hunter Biden and Devin Archer is because of their connections to Joe Biden. I'm so confused, Spoon. The whole time he's just been admitting that yes, this is pay to play. Yes, this is nepotism, but it's okay for some reason, which he can't even explain.
So okay,
Right,
fine. Yes,
right.
we're on the same page.
Now, if Eric Adams makes it clear, it tries to hook his son up with me, and Eric Adams believes I'm a criminal.
But I find it's ridiculous because earlier on, he says that, no, this is not the reason why Hunter was hired. And now he says, yes, it is.
Because he got caught.
Yeah, this moment right here is the crescendo of the argument so far because you just demolished your own fucking argument.
Because remember, again, like I said, and that's why I looked it up. He started this argument by saying that Hunter was hired because he had an extensive business background. And now he's just saying like, well, yeah, of course they hired him to peddle Joe Biden's influence. That doesn't mean Joe Biden knew about it. So he's completely moved his goalposts.
Yeah.
Completely.
Ridiculous.
Let me hit some super chats. We have quite a few to get to here. Sieg for $5 says, could you play the clip of the Hungarian Prime Minister about Trump? Have you seen that, Spoon?
Yeah, he says bring Trump back.
Oh, did he?
Yes, because he said the idea that of funneling more weapons into Ukraine is insane because Ukraine has far fewer people than Russia, and this is just going to get them killed. And Trump's thing is, I want to stop people from dying, and the only way to do that is to.
Is it recent?
Yeah, it was like a couple days ago. Because Viktor Orban had a conversation with Tucker Carlson. And Viktor Orban...
Oh, Orban did.
Yes, and he just had this moment where he just went... Because recently he stopped
Tucker,
EU or against... or he said that you should hold the weapons package for Ukraine. Because, like, dude, Ukraine is not going to win. Any money and weapons you're throwing at Ukraine is just going to get people killed. Like, fucking... Anyone with sense already knew that if you just look at the demographics, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Like, Russia has an enormous amount of weaponry, a well-trained military, and the Ukrainians don't have any of that shit. They're just a bunch of cannon fodder mercenaries, really.
Sieg, we'll see if we can do that. Let me write that down on a note, because I looked on YouTube and I couldn't find like a precise thing. Oh, not this one. I need my sticky notes. Hang on.
It's on Twitter.
No, I'm just saying that this way I because I don't know if I'll find it right now, but
oh no, don't find it right now. Just do it on Wednesday.
Yeah, we can't do it this Wednesday, so it'll be next week.
Oh,
but,
next week, yes.
It's Orban on. All right, I got that written down, Sieg, so we'll play that next week because I don't have it on hand. Thank you though. Soul in the Lich for 50 ARS says Aiden had a Bill Gates moment. But he did, right? When Billy asked about the CIA asset that didn't hang himself. I really did, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Minnesota Fats for 5 says, happy Saturday, boss. Hey, happy Saturday to all of you guys. My sympathies for your lost save, Spoon. I've been there too many times. Also, is it me or does Phillip Bump look like a rat? Yeah, he looks like some kind of rodent. Yeah. Zim the Despot for 5 says, with how American politics are going, is it controversial to say we need to outlaw lobbying and make politics something you can't get rich on? Yeah, absolutely would agree to that, but that's why we're monarchists.
Yes.
King Salmonfish for 5 says,
we think the king should get enriched by enriching the kingdom.
Yes, exactly. If anger/hate are built on fear, hateful conduct policies shield real problems, demonize heroes/truth. Result of female flight tendency and no escape. And for another 5, he says, that way hateful conduct policy play on ignorance and ensure problems go unsolved, fostering a collective terror. Anger is steered to control action. Another 5, he says, all that is required is an unreality narrative to make sure people are lost in images, which self-reinforces due to existential crisis avoidance. And for another 2, he says, so anyway, I got a bit autistic about fear and hate. I think fear and hate are actually like very natural and normal human emotions. So governments know that because they're natural and normal human emotions, that they are very easy to manipulate. And because they're amongst the most powerful, I'd say in terms of action, fear and hate are probably more powerful than love, which is why they're so dangerous, right? Now, you can hate out of love, which sounds contradictory, but like if you're trying to protect your loved ones, then you can hate those who want to harm them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's because of wanting to protect the things that you have, and that is often where hate comes out of. As does fear, by the way, fear that your family and those that you love would be hurt. That's why they're so primal and such powerful emotions, because they're actually reliant upon other emotion. So I don't know. That's obviously why they've been used. You know, fear in terms of COVID, hate in terms of these people are they're it's a excuse me, here I've got it. It's very they're dangerous. Oh, better hate those people. Dangerous to our democracy. And then Redneck Ram for 10. This is when you didn't want to read. So it says, completely off topic, but this annoyed me. On your last stream, Aiden, you read someone's super chat about Assassin's Creed 6 FOL as Assassin's Creed instead of what they meant. Armored Core. Oh, I assumed it was Assassin's Creed 6. Oh, was it Armored Core? My bad. Also, there you go.
No, don't do it.
I did it.
No, I can't hear it.
Done.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen.
Ha
Shit.
ha ha.
Damn it. Oh, no one could hear it but me. Bug.
He he he.
Oh, I'm bested. I can't play the oo-woo. I'm sorry, Redneck Ram. I'll try to get you an a spoo-woo by the end.
Why does everyone want me to
Forgets
say
about
that so friggin' much?
Say it. Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
If I did, it would be caving into peer pressure. 2 reasons I will not do it. That's one, and the other reason is it would upset Bill. Bill would be disappointed in me.
Bill would lose. Actually, I'll ask him. Bill, would you lose respect for Spoon if he said ooh woo? Have you heard that? But he said, "I have respect for Spoon?" Question mark. He says you're all right for us South Africans.
Oh, thanks for that, Bill. It means so much to me. You prehistoric asshole.
And he says you should be glad that he's calling you one instead of an Irish. So let's continue.
Just tell him I said be thankful I don't call him an Anglo.
No. Spoon has replied, Bill, that be happy he doesn't call you an Anglo. He says fair. All right.
Let's get back to it.
Then what's Eric Adams do?
Okay, let's get off the Eric Adams.
To his son as an adult.
It's confusing because it's not a perfect analogy. My point is this: either there's 2 options here, really.
Mm-hmm.
One option, which I don't think is possible, is that Biden had no idea. Son of a bitch! I didn't know by taking these calls and having dinner with these guys, I was going to communicate that I was in on this.
Yeah, come on, obviously.
They would still think that I was after them, and
I think it's used to the term "son of a bitch" is on purpose.
It's meaningless.
But then he went after them. It just doesn't make any
No,
sense.
he didn't.
Excuse me, what? How do you go after them? $115 billion is going after them? Or whatever the fuck we're up to in terms of our number? Look at his smug little face there. Oh my god. He went after who? Shokin?
Yeah.
The prosecutor who was looking into Burisma and their corruption. Yeah, he did. And he got him fired. Well, son of a bitch. We're gonna withhold millions of dollars to aid in Ukraine if you don't fire the prosecutor who's looking into corruption at the gas company that I got my son and his best friend hired at to be on the board of. Well, son of a bitch.
Well, let's leave that aside.
You're presenting is within the frame that you're trying to reinforce.
Can we just take a step
it's
by
begging
step?
the question,
Okay.
please.
So if he did that,
Sure.
he's working against American policy.
Well, except for the fact, and this is what you keep skipping, and this is what the Republicans
I'm not trying
are
to
skipping.
skip anything. Go ahead.
But except for the fact that what he did then is join an international coalition putting pressure on the guy who was seen as the corrupt prosecutor in Ukraine.
By who?
And then they got rid of him. Like I
Why
just
was,
fair enough,
and why was he seen as a corrupt prosecutor? Why was he seen as a corrupt prosecutor? Because he started looking into Burisma. That's why. How what's that quote about how a lie will travel like 10 times around the earth before the truth, makes itself a mile or something like that? This is, what the hell are you talking about? He was fired because he was investigating Burisma. You lunatic. He didn't want to report on it. And then he got fired because he was reporting on it, and then he didn't release his report until after he was fired. He didn't report on it while he was working there because he was afraid to get fired, and the fact that he was looking into it at all got him fired. Dear Lord. Also, people, and Chase, I don't know what y'all are up to, but if y'all want to take it to DMs, it sounds like there's little steamy things happen in the chat here. I understand that politics can be very arousing, but take it to DMs, lad.
Politics is arousing? Oh, it never arouses me. Pisses me off,
No,
though.
it just makes me mad.
Politics
What
tends to make me rage.
And that was, according to Devin Archer, contrary to Burisma's interests.
Okay,
what else do you want him to do?
We're going to take that. You're wrong about that. We're going to take that up in
I'm
a
not
second.
wrong about it.
But if I can prove that you're wrong about that, then will you have to go back and concede my point is serious?
Look,
if the reason my point is not serious
what
is because
do you want Joe Biden to do when he's sitting there in 2016, Hunter Biden's on the board of Burisma? What's he going to do? Like,
why is he on the board to begin with?
What should he do? He should tell his son, listen, these guys are corrupt.
Okay, do you know he didn't do that?
You asked me what he should do. He should say, these guys are corrupt. I, under no circumstances, put me on the phone with them. I'm the vice president of the fucking United States of America in charge of these people.
Yes. Right.
And under no circumstances will I sit down to dinner with them because that will give them the impression that I'm okay with them.
Sure. Okay. So fine.
And that will give
Okay,
other
yeah,
people
fine.
in
Then
Ukraine,
why do you do it?
As I just read this quote, the people in charge.
Plus, keep in mind,
Did you pause?
yes,
Oh.
keep in mind, not 10 minutes ago, this dude openly said that the only reason he was there is to intimidate them. Like, he literally, like, the quote that I read from the article.
Saying that.
Yes.
He started out this conversation.
Well, no, and
saying
at first he denied that, and then later on, this guy
then
pressed
later he
him.
said it, yeah.
Yes, it's like, dude,
And
you
now
are
he's back to saying, no, there's
backtracking.
nothing intimidating. You said in this conversation that it was about being intimidating because you know there's a connection.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
To America. This guy, I have never seen anyone flip-flop like this. He's like a fish. I mean, like, it's slippery, no, not you, Bill. He's slippery, slimy, flapping all about on the deck, dude. Bill's a fan.
Of fighting corruption in Ukraine were upset about this because that was the message it communicated.
Okay, now that quote doesn't actually speak to what you were just saying. The quote doesn't speak to Joe Biden's direct involvement. It speaks to the fact that his son was involved in it.
How many times do we have to relitigate this?
His son is only on the board because of his connection to his father, dude. Fucking come on.
And his son sets up meetings that we know occur, even if we say it's only one, and ignore the emails that there were other, like, oh, I'll get you in touch with my father and all that stuff, is that without a doubt, Joe Biden personally met with those on the board of Burisma.
Yeah.
So clearly, there's a quid pro quo going on here. Clearly.
Yeah, again, we know this.
Idiot can't see it.
I think that's worth pointing out. Second of all, even ceding the point that you think, no, it's not. It's actually better. Ceding the point that you think Joe Biden should have done all these things, which assumes that Joe Biden had the same assumptions you did, knowing what he knew about the situation in Ukraine and Burisma. Ceding even that, you also don't know that Joe Biden didn't do any of those things. And if Joe Biden did say those things, Hunter Biden, let me finish. And Hunter Biden picks up the phone when he's in a meeting. Joe Biden says, "Hey, how's it going?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sitting here with these people." And Joe Biden's irritated. You just don't know.
Don't you love this?
Why
like, Joe Biden,
dad?
Joe Biden didn't do any of these things. But even if he did, it's not that bad. It's like, dude, you can't have it both ways.
Yes.
It's one of the other two.
Yes, he
But if he
did,
did, it's totally fine.
Then it would have been fine because it would have just been like a, oh, hey,
what are you saying?
I like ice cream. Okay, which probably, to be fair, is what happened. But the problem is
they probably meant for ice cream.
You don't. Why do you call your dad, who's the vice president of the United States, in the middle of a business meeting? Not just to say hi and ask him.
It's to get a prosecutor fired.
Dad, how's lunch? Are you having your pudding? You having your Jello? No, that's not how this works. Stop pretending to. I said this in my new video. There is nothing on this earth that irritates me and gets under my skin more than pretending to be retarded. It truly makes me irate. I hate when people, because I think this guy is probably not very smart, but he's pretending to be more retarded than he actually is. And I absolutely despise when people pretend to be retarded. You insult your intelligence and you insult mine. And that's just, that's a no-go for me, homie.
See, this is why I show these videos, because I know Aiden gets upset.
We have
Yeah.
business partner says he wasn't involved in business.
No,
we know that he cracked down on Shokin.
No.
Like, it just...
We know they sat down to dinner. And we know
Yeah, one time.
one time
Yes.
is a lot.
But you don't
I
know-
sat down with Al
One time
Capone.
is
It was just
enough.
once.
But do you know that Joe Biden was aware of who was at the dinner?
Absolutely, of course he was.
That's a great pause, by the way.
Joe Biden met with someone and he had no idea who they were.
That doesn't even make any sense.
He
Why
had
would-
dinner
why would
set
he
up
meet
by
with them?
his son. He had a dinner meeting set up by his son and didn't know
Who the fuck
he
they were.
was.
Hey, yeah,
Oh,
Dad, come and meet my new
please.
friends.
Have-
It's like,
Have
seriously,
you ever had
dude.
dinner? I mean, have you ever had dinner with somebody who you had no idea who, outside of like blind dates? You know what I mean?
No.
Had dinner with somebody who you didn't know who the hell they were? Yes. Yeah, Bill, but that's, you know who some of them are. Bill's not happy about this London trip. I had to unfortunately cut out the British Museum, which Bill didn't really want to go to. He just wanted to go there.
Curates the Wallace collection.
I didn't know that, Bill. You didn't tell me that just now. Well, Bill, more than anything, just wanted there to be like those Just Stop Oil people or something protesting out front, so he
Oh
could punch
my
one of them.
god, that would have been funny as fuck.
But
I would imagine Bill would throw them around like a rag doll.
But unfortunately, the way that I had to like re-look at the schedule, I was like, oh, there's no way we can do that. So unfortunately, I had to cut the British Museum. Bill's very angry, even though I scheduled all we're eating is meat. The full week, it's nothing but meat. Anyway, sorry. Let's go back into look at his little. Yeah, what kind of animal is he? He's some kind of little weasel or rat, some kind of rodent. Look at his little face there. He's like a gerbil. Look at him. Look at his little hands. He's a gerbil, definitely. This is gerbil. This is a gerbil physiognomy. I'm just saying. Bill, I'm going to send you a picture. You tell me if this is gerbil physiognomy or not. All right? Okay, continue.
Of course he was.
Okay, all right. You think Joe Biden is good? Every dinner Joe Biden's ever gone to that involves multiple people, he knows all the people who are sitting in that room?
If a father and son are talking every day, multiple times a day.
I don't think he knows every person, but I'm saying, yeah, when it's been set up by his son, I think he knows who he's talking to, dingus.
They run out of stuff to talk about if it's just the weather. At some point, they're talking about...
I'm not saying they just talked about the weather. I'm not saying they talked about the
Gopher.
weather.
We all have
Prairie
relationships
dog,
with
yeah.
our parents and with people close to us.
That's fine.
Wait,
but again,
wait,
you
wait,
are
this is-
centered
this
on
is-
this
this is-
dinner
what's
because
that,
it's
Bill?
all you've got. That's
No,
my
I
point.
have a lot more.
Then lay it
One
on
second.
me.
Okay,
Let's
so-
go.
so-
Let's move on from the dinner.
Bill,
I didn't mean to get bogged down in it. What do the...
Okay. Bill, what kind of rodent does this man remind you of most? I don't know if you can hear that, but he says for legal reasons he can't respond. But however, what do you think, Bill? Yeah, he's upset. He's worried about the ADL. They will get you eventually, Bill. He says he looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman got put through a tumble dryer. Ooh, chinchilla. Yeah. Yeah, the frightened I will die for no reason look. Yes, that's it. I like chinchillas, but yeah, he's got a very chinchilla physiognomy. I think that's correct. He does look like he bathes in dust. Yeah, that's correct. I agree. Philip Seymour Hoffman ex Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, he's got his little mic popped off weird. Anywho, let's continue.
What do the following words mean to you?
Okay.
What if I say a narrative was spun to me? What does spun mean?
Right. This
What are you laughing about?
You know exactly what spun means, so I'm not
I
going
want to make sure you know what you agree with me.
No, I work for the Washington Post. I've never heard this term before. Lay it on me.
ChatGPT.
Weird flex, but okay. You still there, Spoon? Spoon? Did he walk away? Anyway, a weird flex, but okay. Admitting that the Washington Post, I've heard the term spin before. Maybe it's because your outlet is a rag.
GPT says when someone spun to them, use a kind of casual, it basically means the information story was given to them in a way that might be biased or slanted, kind of someone biased or slanted. And the word that's fed. I'm sorry, the word fed. Biased or slanted.
Okay.
And the word spun.
Just cut to the chase. What's the point you're trying to make?
So let's just go over all the Devin Archer.
Because if it involves Devin Archer not having said that Burisma staffers and associates told him that it was bad if Shokin was out, then you're incorrect. And
here was the Biden quote. In 2014, to be very blunt about it, you have to fight the cancer of corruption.
Sure.
He said in the icy streets of Kyiv.
That's right. And then a year and a half later, he called for the ouster of Viktor Shokin, the corrupt prosecutor general.
So
and
now let's.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Once he was looking into Burisma. Yep. Don't want to talk about that. Contradiction there whatsoever. Got it.
Let's go through the Shokin stuff. So
sure, please.
Let me start with the testimony, and then we'll play the video. So my experience in business, and Dove, you tell me if this is correct or not. My experience in business is, now I have to often parse fights between employees, fights between customers and employees, fights between all kinds, and I have to try to figure out who's telling the truth. And one of the things I've learned is that when people start giving very complex answers.
Now, do you have these fights? Are these fights under oath when you do them or no?
No.
Okay.
When people start giving very complex answers
Sure.
to simple questions, that's usually a
Yeah,
smell
it
of
sure
rat.
is.
Got it.
So let's just read a little bit of the testimony.
Now, by the way, it's not always the case. Like I said about lie detection or nonverbal or verbal leakage, it's not always the case. Sometimes people will be telling the truth and will give you very detailed explanations. But we do find that when people are giving overly detailed explanations, it's actually more often than not a sign of lying or of deception.
About Shokin, then we'll listen to it. And you tell me why he said this stuff. Question, are you aware that Vadim had told Blue Star that one of his pressure he was facing was related to Shokin and the investigation into Burisma? So yes, the narrative that was spun to me, quite frankly, just to be, and I remember this because obviously it's a narrative that was spun to me, was that Shokin was under control and whoever the next person that was brought in was, the fact that he was, this is the narrative that was spun to me 3 times. The Shokin being fired was not good because he was under control as to Mikola.
Zlochevsky, the founder of Burisma.
So, right.
So that's not
The founder of Burisma, who is out by this point, yeah? Or is out very soon. So just to point that out.
Devin Archer saying that he was told that Shokin's ouster was bad for Burisma.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. He said, and you said he didn't.
Right.
No. You said Shokin was bought and paid for by Burisma. But the reality is that Shokin was ousted as prosecutor, not because he was corrupt, but because he was claimed as being corrupt by the Biden administration lackeys who were in power at that point in the Ukrainian government. That's why they ousted him, because he was looking into Burisma. How are you not getting this?
Because he doesn't say. He says that was a narrative that was spun to him.
Oh.
Now what's spun.
Okay.
When somebody says the story was spun to them, what they're saying is, well, this is the obvious meaning of the term.
Yeah, but your entire argument depends on the vocabulary lesson that's involved in the word spun. You're going to exclude all the other.
I think if you use the same term 3 times over, we can be pretty sure that you know what the term means.
Especially if the lawyer has to correct you 3 freaking times.
Also, this dude's argument then is that Devin Archer doesn't know the meaning of the word spun. He used it 3 times over. This is ridiculous. So now we're just into semantics. Every time with people like this, it's always with the left. I mean, without fail, Spoon. It always ends up in a semantic argument because they know that they don't have real arguments because they live in a fantasy land. So it always ends up in fucking semantics.
Other evidence, like the fact that Shokin was facing.
I have a lot of evidence.
Was stymieing the British who were trying to invest Zlochevsky?
I have a lot of evidence here.
Okay.
The British weren't stymied, by the way, in their investigation and their punishment of Zlochevsky. They went ahead and did it anyway. In terms of Shokin, as has been said earlier, he was afraid to go further in his investigation, and when he did, he was fired for it. So, what's the goddamn argument here? There's no argument.
Okay, lay it on me. This is what I'm saying. Give me the evidence. You keep not giving me evidence. Give me evidence.
And then he says, and so...
I mean, do you think you have evidence I haven't seen? Do you think I don't like?
And so based upon that,
yes, I think you have not. If you've looked at it and you still have this opinion, then you haven't seen the evidence. That's just the reality. Then you haven't been looking at it, or you've been denying reality because it interferes with your worldview.
Based upon that, is in your testimony here that Viktor Shokin Hunter Biden and Vadim never discussed the investigation by Shokin into Burisma. Schwartz, that's the lawyer, intervenes now. You're asking Archer. I can't. Schwartz, what conversation he was personally proven to? Mandolfo, yes. He says again, yeah, I was, and I answered before, I was spun a narrative that Shokin was good for Burisma. Now, leave that aside.
Now, that's the questioning from whom? Comer and the Republican side,
now
right?
let's go to the video of him answering the same question on
Tell me Tucker Carlson.
on Tucker Carlson. Cool. You're laughing like the crazy professor. Who cares? It's an interview. It's not what Tucker said.
That's fine.
What a
phrase
jerk.
that?
There's no other way of describing it. You're just a douche. It happened on Tucker Carlson's show, therefore it must be fake. This is the mindset of the left, though, is that if anything occurs on a format, on a platform that they don't like and they don't approve of, it must be fake. These people are Gnostics. They do not believe in, they're also not objectivists. They're subjectivists. They don't believe in a physical reality in the way that you and I do. Everything is subjective to them. So, of course, it's if things are said factually on CNN, if things are said in an interview on CNN, then they're true. If the exact same thing is said on an interview with Tucker Carlson, then it must be false. This is the ludicrous reality in which they exist. I'm going to use the restroom. Continue, please.
Indeed.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering why it was freaking quiet for a second.
Okay.
A spoon left to. Oh, was it just dead air for
Yeah,
a second?
yeah.
Sorry.
$1 billion coming from IMF, and I said, if you don't fire this man, you're not getting them $1 billion.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But it's I think on this one it certainly wasn't made clear to us at the board level, that was a favor to be done. The narrative, I don't know the narrative, and I don't want to lead anyone down that kind of path that's what happened, because I don't know the narrative.
But Joe Biden knew that his son was on the board of this company that was being hassled by the prosecutor whose firing he was calling for.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course he knew that.
And this took place 3 years after he sent you a letter saying thanks for all the work you're doing with Hunter. So
wait.
clearly,
I've seen this.
This would benefit the family.
This is the
Have you seen it?
Right. I don't want to get it, but the narrative was that Shokin was already taken care of. That was the popular narrative. That's the only thing
that he was already on his way out.
Exactly. That was the narrative that was fed to the board.
Okay, so you were told when
Shokin was being taken care of.
It had nothing to do with it.
No, we were told that was bad, and we don't want a new prosecutor. Shokin was taken care of.
So this is actually different from mine. Actually, this is different from my understanding of the situation. So they're saying they kept Shokin because Shokin was being paid off.
Yeah.
So this is a different story from the one that I've heard. So I don't know which one's true, but it was either that Shokin was investigating or that Shokin was being had been taken on by the board. I personally believe it's the former, by the way. But I think that Shokin actually did start to look, because Shokin's come out post facto and been like, holy shit, I was trying to uncover these people, and I couldn't do anything.
The point here that the WAPO dude is trying to make is that when Devin said this is what he was told by Washington.
Yeah.
He doesn't know this. This is just that he was told. This is why he said fed. Because fed something is someone gave it to you.
Yeah.
It's not that you knew this, it's that you were told
That's what you were
this.
told.
Yes,
exactly.
There you go. That's why it seems kind of sketch.
So yeah, he's not saying he knew it for a fact. He's saying this is the story I was told.
Yes, there you go.
Checkers. There's multiple dimensions here. So possibly
This is like Connect 4.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay, stop there, Nicole. This is not like checkers. This is a narrative that was fed to us. There are multiple dimensions here.
I just
On
don't
what
understand.
planet is that man obviously not indicating that
lot of
things are
smoke.
not as they appear? Who speaks that way?
A lot of smoke.
Who speaks that way about a narrative? Who were you cheating on me?
This is so
Was
bizarre. This is so bizarre.
Were you fucking his wife? Well, that was the narrative that was spun. But you know, this is
I
not
get it. Like, I
checkers.
get the gag here, but like, he
Are you
said in
telling
that
me that's
clip-
the way an honest person? You don't.
Here's what I know. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. I know that under oath he said that he was told by people from Burisma that it was bad to have Shokin ousted. I know that there's lots of evidence.
So this, I'm going to cut this in here. This is a section of the testimony that he refers to a few times. So I looked it up just now. Goldman, who is the Democratic questioner, says,
That's the one that I read about earlier.
so was it Shokin was ultimately removed from office? Archer, right. Goldman again. Was that a bad thing for, and the Burisma leaders felt like that would be bad for them? Mr. Archer, that's what I was told. Mr. Goldman, okay.
Oh, okay.
Then Mr. Schwartz comes in, who is Archer's lawyer. Not by the Burisma leaders. Archer, exactly, not by the Burisma leaders. I was told by the DC team. Goldman says, got it.
There it is.
And here,
Okay, there it is. There it is. That's why Archer's confused on this. Because Shokin was investigating Burisma.
Yeah.
Archer was told that Shokin was actually good for Burisma. He was lied to by the people on DC. That's why these things don't align. Because from what I've seen on the side of my massive investigations into this entire debacle was that Shokin was investigating Burisma. And that's why he was fired. And that's why we get the, well, son of a bitch from Joe Biden fired the prosecutor once he started to look into his son's enterprises. But if what Archer was being told came from DC, then of course he would have been spun a lie. As Archer said, spun a lie that it was good to get rid of Shokin. Spun a lie. There it is. That's the whole thing figured out. Got it.
Also, why would your son be on the board of Burisma and they get fired? If he wasn't doing anything, wouldn't that mean the new prosecutor that just got in would investigate the very company that your son is sitting on?
Yeah, but they're not.
Yeah, but exactly, they
That's the
didn't.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, how
Yeah.
the fucking hell does anyone? Like, this is so
Bizarre,
stupid.
right?
there is a
Curious.
second exchange also with Goldman. Mr. Goldman, let's talk about legally. I think just pivot to that because you had said earlier that I believe the direct quote is that Burisma felt like they had Shokin under control. Mr. Archer, correct. Mr. Goldman, what did you mean by that? Mr. Archer, that was a narrative that was told to me by various of the DC team that the firing of
DC
Shokin
team,
was
yeah.
bad for Burisma because he was under control. Mr. Goldman, what did you understand under control to mean? Mr. Archer, meaning that they were going to maybe give a slap on the wrist as opposed to Mr. Goldman, okay. Mr. Archer, seize all his assets. Mr. Goldman, because there was a lot of characterizations by the Republicans in the first part about a Ukrainian investigation. Mr. Archer, But Mr. Goldman, but you're not actually aware of any investigation by the prosecutor general in Ukraine into Burisma, which is different from the British investigation. Mr. Archer, right. So, in good faith, I've looked up the two examples I could find, and both of them have Archer saying that it was the Washington, D.C. team that told him
Not the Burisma people.
that narrative. I cannot find anywhere where he says that he heard it from anybody on the board of Burisma.
I know that there's a
And
lot.
that all now makes sense. That all now, because I couldn't reconcile those two things I was hearing. And I was like, but wait, that doesn't make sense. Now it does make sense. Absolutely makes sense. That Devin Archer was being told a certain thing from the DC team.
By the way,
Meanwhile, that's not the reality.
Round about now is where he gets really annoyed.
Oh, good. Let's go. I'd love to see
It
this
just
go
gets
for
progressively
irritated.
worse.
mean, he's been insufferable since Jump
Since the
Street, but
beginning,
still.
yeah.
Lots
He's gonna
of
get worse.
evidence that Shokin was protecting Burisma. There's evidence in that the British were investigating
This is
Mikhail
crazy
Zhevsky,
that they're trying
and
to
he
throw
stymied
this
them.
guy
He
under the
didn't
bus
give
so
them the
hard.
information. They had to drop their investigation.
I
There's
want to
no-
hear all this, but
Okay,
we're talking
well,
about
but
Archer.
This is important. This
no,
is
but
important.
it's important, but it's not responsive to this.
Because this isn't important. This is not under oath.
I like the way that the only people that can corrupt is Shokin, and none of the Americans or the British can be corrupt in any fucking way.
You understand why this is happening. He's their scapegoat. They found the guy that and it's astonishing because the left has scapegoated him twice now.
Yep.
They scapegoated him the first time by saying that, by just getting him kicked out of his position as prosecutor for investigating their corrupt company, as controlled by Joe Biden's influence in part, in my opinion. And now they're doubling down and saying, no, actually, he's a pro-Russian who was anti-Burisma, essentially. Absolutely ridiculous. This poor dude, Viktor Shokin, he is their eternal scapegoat. What did he do, you think, to earn their ire this way? He must have actually been investigating. That must be it.
Yeah, well, this
no
guy
other
also
reason
works for the
why.
Washington Post, so,
But that's what I mean. There's no other reason why they would literally switch their accusations against him while still claiming that he's the person at fault.
He's the bad guy, yeah,
It's-
obviously.
Yeah. Curious.
This is him saying what you say he's saying, and you saying that, he must mean something else, even though he's saying explicitly, I was told that Shokin was under control and it was bad for him to leave. I'm supposed to impute from that because of the way he said it, he was lying. But
it's the way he says it.
He's not saying he's lying. He's saying that what he was
the words he
told.
used.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was saying that he doesn't know if this is the case from the people of Burisma. He's saying that this is what I was told by DC.
DC politicos
There's
told
no lie. The only people that are potentially lying is fucking DC.
He's just saying that's what he knows.
Yes, or what he was told. So where's the lie? You fucking
There is no
blab.
lie. Besides
Yes.
that, it doesn't appease his narratives,
Yeah.
which are changing rapidly.
runs contrary to all the evidence I'm trying.
What?
Runs contrary to all the evidence I'm trying to present you, but you don't want to hear the evidence because you
no,
want
no,
to go with your
uh,
assumption about it.
I don't have any assumption.
You do, of course you do. This whole conversation's
I'm
predicated on your
watching
assumption.
him.
Told you.
Okay, I'm going to cut one more thing in here, and this is a little risky because it's nothing I've ever done before, which is to impeach something that a guest had said when they're not.
And by
there
the way,
to-
I would say,
to
I don't know
defend
anything about this
themselves. I'm gonna
podcast. Sorry, pause. I don't know anything about this podcast.
This is a
It's called
comedy one.
Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
So I would assume.
I mean,
this
I'm
is
finding this pretty funny. I'm not like
usually it is funny. But if he's never had to do this before, I would imagine it's because what Phillip Bump is doing is sickeningly, disgustingly wrong, and it doesn't appear to be
very
that way.
disingenuous.
And very disingenuous. So yeah, the fact that I don't know this guy. I'm not a fan of this podcast. Never watched it, but it is supposed. I don't know why you're having a serious political conversation on what is called the Comedy Cellar, but I digress.
Or trying to have it with a fucking Washington Post writer.
Oh, right. Well, but this is what you get when you talk to a cog in the machine, an absolute cog. He is nothing more than that. He is just an automaton.
Try to do it very, very carefully. But should Mr. Bump object to this, I'll make sure either to undo it or to give him a chance to comment on it. So he wrote an article in the Washington Post about this very matter. The headlines is Devin Archer said the opposite of what Republicans claimed. And he addresses this issue. Let me find it here. I can do a Control F. So I'll read. It's a little bit long. In fact, as Republican Dan Goldman, Democrat of New York, pointed out in questioning Archer, Shokin had himself helped relieve some of that pressure on Burisma. Those assets in London, they were unfrozen in part because Shokin refused to assist a British investigation into Zlochevsky, Goldman noted. Quote, this goes to the idea that Shokin, who was prosecutor general in 2015, was good for Burisma, Goldman said. Archer replied. So this leaves the impression that Archer was assenting to the idea that Shokin was good for Burisma. So I went back to the original transcript, and I'll pick it up from that same point. Question. And so this goes to the idea that Shokin, who was prosecutor general in 2015, was good for Burisma. Answer. Question. Is that fair? Now Vice President Biden was vocal about his concerns about corruption in the Prosecutor General's office in Ukraine during this time period. Answer, correct. Question, and called for the removal of Shokin from office. Is that correct? Answer, yes. That was very well publicized. Question, okay. And the Senate Minority Report, which I referenced earlier, described how Vice President's public calls for the Ukrainian government to remove Shokin as Prosecutor General was part of an anti-corruption policy of the U.S. government with broad bipartisan support, as well as support from allies and international institutions like the EU and the International Monetary Fund. Do you agree with that conclusion?
Yes, the IMF.
Answer. Sorry, can you repeat that? Question, yeah. The Vice President's public calls for the removal of Shokin was part of this broad bipartisan international anti-corruption effort in Ukraine. Answer, yes, I believe that was part of the conversation. Question, and here's the key part. Question, but it was bad for Burisma. That was the perception at Burisma because they had Shokin under their control. Answer, this is the part that he left out. Answer,
Yep.
No, Burisma never informed me of that. That's what I was told, that it was bad for Burisma. But I don't know. I don't know if it was good or bad. Mr. Schwartz, told by the DC team. Mr. Archer, yeah, by the DC team. So I can't really explain
I
what
can.
Bump is claiming there. It seems to me very...
I can explain what it is. He's an idiot and he's a liar. He's both. That's why when he was saying these things, I was like, what? I couldn't reconcile them. It's like, oh, that's what it was. It's because Devin Archer was told a line of shit from the DC team.
Or he was
Whereas
told he's on a need-to-know basis.
Yes, they
Somewhat.
told him that Shokin was corrupt.
And he just took it on faith.
And he took it on faith. Whereas the reality is that the reason why Shokin was fired, well, son of a bitch, is because he was investigating Burisma. The idea that Shokin was in Burisma's pocket was told to him by Joe Biden's, from his, position, White House as vice president. He was told a lie, a line of crap. So that's where this discrepancy comes from. Seems pretty crystal clear to me, Spoon. I don't know. Does it seem... Are there any questions there as to why he has this discrepancy review?
I have
view, excuse me.
I have this weird thing when it comes to corruption. There's this really weird thing when it comes to corruption, as if it disqualifies you from ever doing your job in any capacity for the rest of your existence. Which I find is quite strange, because you could say, oh, this person is corrupt. Like, okay, they can be corrupt for situation A, but that doesn't mean they can't do their job for person B. Like, let's say Shokin...
But you'd be
but hold on a
suspicious.
second. Yes, but hold on. But let's just say, like, Shokin is corrupt. If he finds some dirt on Burisma, are you going to dismiss it just because he's corrupt?
It doesn't actually seem that he was corrupt, though. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
yeah, but my point is, let's say that he was. Like, just because he is corrupt, if you find some evidence... Yes, if the person who says, it is corrupt, that's the kind of person who would just use his reputation to smear him rather than objectively look at his evidence. Because even if he was a crooked, that doesn't mean that the evidence he encounters is fake.
That all of it is fake. Right. Yeah, exactly. So I agree with you there. I don't think he was corrupt. I actually think he's just been scapegoated by
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he is corrupt. I mean, this is fucking Ukraine after all. But the idea that you're going to find a clean prosecutor in Ukraine is like
Ukraine. Ridiculous.
It's like trying to find an honest politician in fucking DC. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, it doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, the idea of trying to find an honest politician anywhere is kind of a...
Hey, we can't find a clean politician in Ukraine. Where is Ukraine? Oh, it's the second most dirtiest place of politics in all of Europe. Yeah, that might be why.
Ukraine is a country that's next to Russia. Russia is a bigger country than Ukraine. I learned this from Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah, did you? I also learned that's wrong.
Very clear
Stupid
that
bitch.
every time the issue came up, Archer backed off in his under oath testimony and said he didn't know, he never heard it from Burisma, and the narrative that he did hear always came from the DC team. So I'll leave it to Mr. Bump to respond to that if he gets wind of this. I know the plain meaning of the word spun and fed.
That's fine.
And I know the plain
he's
and I know the plain
Tucker
meaning.
Carlson, and he's enjoying and smiling and,
I
saying
know
what Tucker Carlson
and
wants
I know
to
the
hear, of
plain
course.
meaning
Oh my God.
There
that
we go.
he's not like a. That's it. That's all it is. That he's talking to Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson is the devil because he's a conservative. That's all it is. That if you are in a conversation with someone who is a conservative, everything that you say must be thrown out because evil conservatives. This guy is out of his mind. He's so partisan that he would say the earth is flat if a Republican said that it was round.
Yeah, he probably would
Spherical, excuse
actually.
me. I know.
Meaning of the
That's why I
word,
laugh.
I know the plain meaning of the analogy, saying this is checkers, not.
This is so silly. So then find me evidence that Joe Biden acted on behalf of Burisma when he called for the firing of Shokin. Find me evidence of that. And there is none.
I'm getting
I just
to
don't
that.
like. Yes, okay. If you want to nitpick and pick out specific
This is not
isolated
nitpicking.
snippets of conversation between Devin Archer and Tucker Carlson, who's the least good faith actor in the history of human.
Okay.
Who
so,
gives a shit about what Tucker Carlson is saying?
So I have a question. If Shokin was fired because he's not investigating Burisma because Burisma's corrupt, does that not mean the next prosecutor that you put in there should be investigating Burisma? Did the new who is the name of the next prosecutor, and did they find anything? No.
I actually don't know the name of the next prosecutor.
Exactly.
But I know for a fact that the investigation was dropped. I know for a fact because I have documents from the prosecutor's office right in front of me. It was dropped. They stopped looking into it. So something weird. That's why I was like, what? Victor Shokin was defending Burisma?
That's why the narrative of he was fired because he's cozy with Burisma does not make any fucking sense.
It's ridiculous. The fact that Archer is saying this stuff to Tucker Carlson, by the way, and that somehow devalues or diminishes or dismisses it, is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
you are
'cause-
such a partisan hack. It's
because
incomprehensible to me.
you can't find any evidence of what Devin Archer is really thinking until you put a conservative in front of him, and then he says some real shit. And then they go, "Oh, this is contradictory to anything else we've heard."
What
Like,
are they?
yeah, because all you've been hearing is the fucking one side of the argument. Now you hear the other side, and you're upset that it's not aligning with you. Like that's the whole fucking point.
Yes, let's say that you, Mr. Bump, did an interview with Devin Archer. Are you going to ask him any serious questions? No, you're going to ask him fluff because you do not want evidence that Hunter was and has a
It's
relationship to
ironic
his
he's defending
father.
Hunter, and his
who-
surname is slang for a bit of coke.
Yeah. Doesn't want any evidence of a scandal in Ukraine involving Joe Biden, which absolutely did happen. And I'm sorry, it's just the truth.
Journalism. Fine, great. We can have this conversation, but it's not getting to the point. And the point
Yeah,
I
it
thought
has
was
gotten to the point.
evaluate this charge that Joe Biden had acted corruptly in regard to Shokin and Burisma. And there's no
did.
evidence of that. And Devin Archer's
Son of a bitch.
You got fired.
$10 million to fire the prosecutor. $10 million. Was it 10 million? Yeah, I think so.
own sworn testimony.
Was it
undercuts
100?
the
It was a lot of money.
regardless of his using the word spun or fed.
Okay, but just for my own edification,
Jesus Christ, yes.
do accept that when he's saying that, he's trying to indicate that wasn't the truth. It was
No, the way I view that is that he understands he's on Tucker Carlson's show. He understands that
But he
he's
said the
become
same thing under
useful
oath.
and he is finding attention.
He said it
Yes, I
earlier.
understand that.
Yeah.
But did you actually see? Is that this portion of his testimony when he's speaking to the Republican investigators, or is when he's speaking to
Well, you do,
Dan Goldman?
you do understand that if
Did you read the Dan?
He was actually speaking to Goldman. He was actually speaking to the Democrat, not the Republican. So that doesn't add up, dude.
Goldman part,
Yes, I
in
read
which
everything.
Dan Goldman actually evaluated it, and he didn't use weasel words like that, if I remember correctly.
but you
Weasel
do
word.
understand that
You're not remembering correctly, by the way.
What irony? What irony? Palpable.
his lawyer can't allow him to
Is it 10 billion?
incriminate himself in any kind of conspiracy to undermine U.S.
I don't know if it was billion back in 2014, Lucifer the Demon. It might have been. It might have been 10 billion. Was it
I
in
think
the
it was
billions?
I think it was 10,
It was a lot. It was.
but it was a billion.
Billion. Fire the
He said you're not getting the money.
computer. Son. Bitch. I was just looking. I couldn't find it in my. Let me find it here.
Why is that?
Prosecutor's not fired. You're not getting. Here
why
it
is
is.
why is the chat so spicy?
Let me just listen to it.
There's a lot of aggression in the chat. Why are you guys all so upset? Calm the fuck down. Calm down, or I will start timing out all of you.
10. He says 10 million, but
Oh, there we go.
it's Biden, so he could be stupid.
Like,
No, billion.
Policy.
$1 billion. $1 billion. Sorry, I misheard it. We're not going to give you $1 billion. So it was, sorry, I couldn't forget what it was. It was $1 billion. Yes, many of you in the chat were correct. Thank you, guys. It's been a minute. I didn't have that exact figure written down, unfortunately. But $1 billion withheld from Ukraine well before the war with Russia. If you don't fire the prosecutor, we're not going to give you $1 billion. Dun, 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 dun. Or what? No, that's not it. What's the fucking Austin Powers theme? You know, $1 billion. You know, put your pinky in your mouth.
So he has to be very, very careful what he says here if he was involved in trying to get Shokin fired. So, and you'll see here his lawyer comes in and stops him. But
he stopped him because he didn't want him conveying hearsay evidence.
It seems painfully obvious to me that when somebody speaks that way, just finish the rest of the video, Nicole. So here I ends up.
This is great.
No, I think in this particular case, it's pretty high stakes and pretty sophisticated. So the narrative that I was told was that. That's just, you know, I've said it under oath and I'll say it again.
I mean, it's obvious to any reasonable person that he may be lying, but it's obviously he's communicating that the narrative is not more
not reality.
Okay, so
when you say chess, not checkers, this is more sophisticated. Do you agree with me?
Let's just do this. I don't agree with you.
You think that's a straight?
Of course you don't.
Straightforward answer.
No, I think he is intentionally being Weasley because he understands what Tucker Carlson wants to say.
But
he said it under oath as well, you fucking idiot.
He said the same thing to the committee.
And we just went over that.
There we go.
Exactly.
That
So
it
it's been
depends on
said.
who is asking the
But
question.
he said the
at
same
point in
thing to
time.
the committee.
Your whole complaint is that what wasn't said under oath. It was said under oath.
Yes. And it was
So
only
what are
because
you
of Tucker
talking about?
Carlson. Yeah. Again, it's not very good.
Idiot.
Understand that, but
No, you don't.
here's what I'm saying. I am willing to say to
Moving
you,
the
I don't
goalposts
agree
again.
with you, and I think it's very straightforward, and that
Really?
he is actually saying that Burisma executives viewed Shokin as an ally. I think that it's pretty
How?
clear, and he said that under oath. But let's
No,
just
no, that's not what he said.
That's not clear at all. He literally said it was the DC team who said that.
He said-
No one said anything
exactly.
about Burisma. You fucking idiot. What are you
He
talking about?
didn't say it was the Burisma team. He said it was the DC team. He said it in explicit language. Oh my God, this guy, what a fucking weasel.
let's just say
Such a rat.
let's see to your point.
Yeah.
You're right. He was weaseling it. That's the contrary. That's the opposite of what he's trying to say, and he's winking the whole time he's saying it. Now what do you do with it? Now where's your evidence? Now what else do you have?
You want to know what's curious? Oh, let's say he's lying about everything. Let's say he's weaseling. That's because what he does. That's because that's what he does. So it is typical projection. He is projecting the way that he views reality, the way that he views his own actions and his own behaviors, and applying them onto other people and assuming they must be the case, even though he said, well, they didn't say that under oath, so it doesn't count. Oh, what's it under oath? Well, he's a Weasley little liar. Why is it that when Hunter Biden says something under oath, we have to take it at face value? When Joe Biden says something under oath, we have to take it at face value. But when Devin Archer says something under oath, no, he's a Weasley little liar. Which one is it? Which one is it? It can't be both, can it?
And the answer is nothing.
Hold on. Play the one that says Victor. Play the one that says Shokin was a threat.
This is great.
I'm literally ceding this point, even though I disagree.
I
And
want
you're wrong.
I want the listeners to hear.
So Shokin was I'm gonna get the dates wrong, but Shokin was he was the prosecutor, the head prosecutor in Ukraine. And he was taking a close look at Burisma.
But within Burisma,
Right.
this Shokin was considered a threat to your business.
Shokin was considered a threat to the business. I think anyone in, again, you got to get the signals to the government. I think anyone in government was always a threat, and always trying to shake down these businesses that were highly successful and
Yep.
and enriching the owners and the
Yep, that's the
staff,
reality.
board, and whatever. And
Not
so at
this
the end of
weird
the
new
day,
narrative you come up
Shokin
with.
was taking a look, and again, if I wasn't involved in Shokin or any of this, but he was a threat. He ended up
Makes clear. I'm not part of that. Go ahead.
seizing assets.
No, it makes clear he doesn't know what he's talking
about. Nikolai, a house, some cars, a couple properties, and Nikolai actually
you hear
never
what he's
went
saying,
back
right?
to Ukraine after Shokin.
You hear what he's
seized all
saying?
of his
What's he
assets.
saying right there? Tell me what he's saying.
He's saying that Shokin was considered a threat. He seized a lot.
Why
of
was Shokin considered a threat?
Because he seized all that property.
Yes, not because he's investigating them, because he's corrupt, because he's stealing from them. That's what he's telling you.
For whatever reason, that's fine.
But there's no investigation. This is the whole point.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
But
Shokin was trying to get something out of Burisma.
By the way, isn't that literally what Rico does?
Yeah, true, to a certain extent.
Yeah, so
But
basically,
let's
you're
put it
just
this
pulling
way.
RICO assets on people who are corrupt. Like, if you were investigating, like, let's just put it this way: if this place was actually corrupt, seizing
It is.
property and assets is literally the thing that you would do.
It's the same thing, yeah, that you're trying to do people under RICO. But let's put it this way, right? Whether or not Shokin was corrupt, he was right, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's kind of my
We
point.
know this now. I mean, that's kind of the point, is that whether or not Shokin was doing this out of because he was actually interested in the investigation or because he was corrupt, he was right. And we all know
Yes.
now that he was right. So, what's the actual point? Shokin was correct.
Which is very
I
strange.
think that, yeah. Mm.
You think they're
I
trying to
didn't-
get rid of? You think they want to get rid of Shokin? See, what you're doing is you're flipping the entire narrative. You think they're trying to get rid
That's
of
what
Shokin
you've
because they're
been
sick of
doing,
Shokin
Abby.
breathing down their neck and dipping in their pockets?
No, that was your claim, actually.
Yeah, that was your claim actually, is that Shokin is corrupt and was always just trying to line his pockets. That's been your entire argument, is that Shokin was trying to line his own pockets. That's been your entire line of defense.
I don't know why they're trying to get rid of Shokin. The only question is, were they trying to get rid of Shokin?
The idea of signals and influence, the prize is enough in speaking or hearing or knowing that you have that proximity to power. No one is so unsophisticated that's been in politics for 50 years
Right.
that Hunter is going to talk
Okay, you can
about.
stop there. No one is so unsophisticated who's been in politics for 50 years. What is he saying there?
Did you read the transcript of Devin Archer's testimony?
What?
Did you read
I
it?
read every word.
Dude, he answers you the question, you pivot, and then you're upset that he didn't answer your fucking
What?
question.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
Word of it.
Did
What
you
do
see when he was questioned about the email he'd received from Hunter Biden, in which Hunter Biden said in the email, "Look,
By a burner phone? That one?
I know we can't actually influence my father on this, but we need to give the perception that we can influence my father on this."
Okay,
Did you see that email?
Is your point to me that I'm reading Archer right, but I just shouldn't trust what he's trying to communicate here? He's doing it.
No,
doing
he's saying exactly that. He's saying that yes, people used us because they thought we were a conduit to Joe Biden.
But you were a conduit to Joe Biden.
But you were, yes.
Because Hunter set up meetings with people in charge of Burisma. Because he sent emails peddling his influence. That's how you started this conversation, is that they were peddling influence. If they had no influence, then why did the head of Burisma meet with Joe Biden? I don't care if it was only for one dinner date. I don't care if it had nothing to do with Joe Biden's trips to Ukraine, which I think it did, because that's when they both got hired at Burisma. But then why did he meet with somebody if his son had no influence? This is ludicrous. It's lunacy, and it's just absurd.
Yes, and that's
No,
that. Yes, and that's
No,
that.
he said no one is so unsophisticated that's been in politics for 50 years. He's saying that Biden.
Well, we didn't
wouldn't
see
be
what the
so-
predicate for what that no one's sophisticated. But what he just said in that clip you just played was he said that yes, they saw us as being a conduit
No, the
for
predicate
influence.
was they didn't talk about anything specific.
Well,
no
you
one
show the predicate for that actual comment.
play the beginning again.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Yeah, sorry, you
mean,
have to
but-
replay it.
play it just very beginning.
Do you know that Hunter spoke to his dad about Burisma? Did you ever see them talk about it, hear them talk about it? Was Joe Biden?
No, I don't have.
That's the
knowledge of
predicate.
that,
And
but
no
I
one is.
assume-
He says no one is in politics 50 or be so unsophisticated. Okay, to do that.
Okay, but time out, time out.
Exactly.
What did he just say there? What did he just say about Biden
tell
and
me.
Burisma? He said he never saw Joe Biden have any conversation about Burisma in his.
Because no one would be so politically unsophisticated as to
To
do
do
that.
so.
How are you not getting the actual key of the message?
Yes.
This guy, he is such a soul obsessed. He is such a sophist.
Yeah,
that
the
it's like,
comment
but
section actually points that out a lot.
with the sophistry.
Yeah.
But the first part of the statement before the comma, therefore, must be taken as a full statement. Okay, dude, sophistry.
Hope.
Right, I'm talking about circumstantial evidence.
Sworn testimony.
Okay,
but your
but-
circumstantial evidence is contrived.
But-
He's saying there was no involvement, but you're saying, but circumstantial evidence. He says under oath there's no involvement. He's asked directly.
But circumstantial evidence, but you've ignored all circumstantial evidence. This guy's out of his mind.
That's like saying a mob boss and their son have never communicated, therefore they don't have any
I know.
agreements. It's like, yeah, no
Unbelievable.
shit. They're doing criminal activity, you fucking moron. There's a reason why they don't want a paper trail or one that can be
Exactly.
clearly like, come on. That's
Yeah,
why you
exactly.
said. That's why you said like no one is so unsophisticated in 50 fucking years didn't notice. Like, yeah, there's clearly something
Exactly.
going on. Come on.
Was Joe Biden at all involved in the business? He says no.
Okay, hopefully this is the last cut in of a transcript. This refers to the under oath testimony of where Archer is asked about Biden's conversations and involvement in the business. I'm picking up in the middle. No business deal specifics discussed ever at any of these things, but it was a nice, conversation. Question. And is that also the case at the first Cafe Milano dinner, that the conversation was not about Hunter Biden's businesses with his various business associates? Right. It was dinner conversation. Mr. Goldman interjects. And just to be clear, Joe Biden had nothing to do with any of your business ventures with Hunter Biden, right? He was, Mr. Archer, as far as ownership, Mr. Goldman, yeah. Or Mr. Archer, no. Mr. Goldman, investing or anything to your knowledge? Mr. Archer, not to my knowledge. Mr. Goldman, and in all this exhibit, 1,260 pages, you didn't see a single wire transfer to Joe Biden, did you? Mr. Archer, no, I have not seen a wire transfer to Joe Biden.
Like, that's direct evidence.
He was not involved in the business. I'm not saying he was involved in the business.
Well, then what are you saying? Well, then what's your question about Joe Biden?
Influence.
I thought you were arguing that Joe Biden
influence.
was
Your
trying
argument.
to get Shokin for
That's
on
not
Burisma's
involved
behalf.
in the business. That's to help hook up his son. Play call-ins were impactful stuff. He's not involved in the business. Not working for Burisma.
It's been reported, and you have said that there
doesn't
were
make any
occasions when Joe Biden would call in with clients present on a speakerphone.
Right.
I can't believe we're sitting here like
This is for
adjudicating.
people need to listen.
I have one question.
Let the freaking clip play.
I have one question. How does Biden have so much money?
Because just a great businessman or something. Oh wait, it's because he's been in politics for 40 years and he comes from a political family.
Even if you were for 40
Whoops.
years, there's no one how you can have the net worth you have through politics alone.
Oh no, not by pure politics, not by your salary. It's because he's played politics. Let's be
Yes.
clear.
Obviously.
He's sold his influence the entire time he's been in politics for the last 40 years.
Yeah, especially during
That's
the vice
what
presidency
he
and
has-
the so-called presidency.
He has sold his influence for 40 goddamn
And he's pimped out his children.
years. Yes, and he has done that as well.
This is what at home. They
The
don't know this
10-year
like we do.
partnership.
But this
I
is
would-
all setups by Tucker Carlson, to which he's responding. Of course.
What are you
he's
talking
doing the same
about?
you're doing,
That's
which is
called an
leading
interview.
questions.
That's
Yes, it's called an
Oh,
interview,
it's not.
idiot.
Tucker Carlson, you got to be.
Oh my god.
There
Tucker
you go.
Carlson, you gotta be kidding me. This guy is so out of his mind. He thinks that if you talk to someone who's a conservative, then none of your words matter.
Or anyone outside the mainstream, basically.
Because then you must, because just being in the room with a conservative makes you also evil. That's how he legitimately thinks. I guarantee it. I'm not being so obsessed there. I know it might sound like I am, but that's how he thinks. That's how people like him think, is that if you talk to a conservative, you are evil. You're a bad person too, or you're being manipulated by the bad people, the bad evil demons. That's just how these people think. Now, by the way, I don't think all people on the left are evil. I would be more than happy to have a conversation with someone like Anna Kasparian. I don't think it'd probably turn out well, but I'd be more than happy to make an attempt. This guy thinks, and many of his ilk think, that if you talk to a conservative, you are evil and you probably should hang.
I would like to talk to Anna. I want to see if I can make her heart melt or her eyes rage. I'm going to go with
my
rage.
point, though. Yeah.
I would enjoy making Anna upset. I feel like it would give me a great buzz.
I'm sure you would like that.
Well,
Yes.
let's hear it anyway.
Okay.
the number I'm going with is 20. That's probably the amount that I
So a lot.
kind of reckon. Yeah, a lot. You could say.
So Joe Biden, who's very much a product of Washington, of course, must have known that he was calling in to effectively a business meeting that his son was having. I mean, he must have understood that was kind of what his son was selling.
Well, it's hard for me to speculate.
Hold on, stop, Nicole. Now, you see, he laughs when he says, he's obviously communicating with his. It's hard for me to speculate, but he's joking.
Right. Did you also see him look up when Tucker first and he's like thinking about is that a fair thing to say? I mean, look,
Okay.
yes, we can sit here and
Continue the
read
clip.
Yes,
Continue the
because
clip.
you have to think about the obvious reality. Hang on, because you have to think about how he looked up because he realizes, oh yeah, obviously there's
That's
no other
obviously why
reason to
he's
make
there.
that call. Do you want me? This dude. I'm the only person in this conversation right now, currently, and conversation we're watching, who has any background or the video clips that they're playing in body language analysis. This dude, the journalist, does not. Looking up often means you are thinking, and then oftentimes also means it's rolling the eyes, partially of being like, oh yeah, right, of acknowledging something. These are the reasons we go up and to the right or left. I know that some body language experts will say that like right or left means a different thing, but I don't really know. And like I said, it's not a science. That's why I don't really trust it. But looking up is like you're looking to your brain to recall something, oh yeah, or as a rolling the eyes of, oh yeah, in terms of a sarcastic kind of response. That's very typical. Very typical.
I guess my question, just to keep it to the facts, Joe Biden, then the sitting vice president, knew that there were Hunter's business associates in the room.
Body language?
Yeah, I think I can definitively say at particular dinners or meetings, he knew there were business associates, and he,
no wise up.
I was there. I was a business
direct eye
associate
contact.
Too. So I think, or if any of the other colleagues from the DC office or the New York office were there. So yeah, at times there
direct
were
eye contact with Tucker.
To be completely clear on the calls. I don't know if it was an orchestrated call in or not. It certainly was powerful though, because if you're sitting with a foreign business person and you hear the vice president's voice, that's prize enough. I mean, that's pretty
exactly
impactful stuff, right?
All right, so this was important stuff. Archer says, yeah, it was a high-pressure environment, and there were constant requests for help. What did Hunter do after he was given that request? Listen, I did not hear his phone call, but he called his dad. How do you know that? Because I think Vadim told me, but again, it's unclear. I just know that there was a call that happened there, and I was not privy to it. What did Vadim tell you the call was about? Just that we called DC, but he didn't know. Again, it's not like there was not a we've all got our problems solved kind of revelation. I was not on that side of the equation. Question: was it during the drive back that Vadim told you that Hunter Biden had called Vice President Biden at that time? And then Archer answers, it would have been some point after there or after, maybe the next day. So the exact time I can't say. We spent 3 days together, but that was and then his lawyer interjects. He told you expressly that he called his father or he called DC. And Archer says DC.
That's right. And then he said that later under different testimony.
Now,
and
when
it's
right when
there
your
are
lawyer
other parts of the
when your
testimony
lawyer
in which they make clear,
when your lawyer interjects to correct that,
just because they don't want you to lie under oath. Yes, go ahead.
No, he said his father.
Maybe because they don't want you to lie under oath. Hang on. Maybe because they don't want you to lie under oath, but also maybe because they don't want you to incriminate yourself. Or, yeah. Let's be clear about it. It's not the only reason why your lawyer would interject. So please don't lie about that either. Thank you.
It's because
later in the testimony, which I gather you didn't actually read.
I read it all.
Later in the testimony, I read it all. I'm going to be because you're presenting facts that are later disproven. Later, he is questioned on that exact same thing and clarifies, I can only attest to it being D.C. In D.C., they had a group of people who had been arranged in part by Devin Archer and Hunter Biden who were working on behalf of Boris.
Okay, fair enough. So this is what I think.
You can't just say fair enough.
I'm going to respond to you. I understand your point. It's a fair point.
But it's wrong.
In a laboratory environment, but in the real world, when
isn't
in the same paragraph
it
says
wrong.
He called his dad. Now he's remembering a call to the guy's dad, and he keeps repeating that dad, the vice president, and his lawyer keeps correcting him. You mean DC, which to me is his lawyer's trying to keep him out of trouble.
Yep.
But obviously, he's had 2 years to prepare. This has been in news for 2 years already. When he says he called his dad, if one of the Trump kids make that same slip, we would all assume he had meant to say he called his dad. We would understand.
And Wapo boy over here would be flipping out
repeatedly of a detail so volatile as he called his dad. He called the vice president. This is likely the truth, and repeating what his lawyer tells him to say is most likely the legal.
Also, come on, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden is only there because of his father. Everybody fucking knows that. Like, both these people have admitted this, okay? So why the hell would he call DC and not his dad? If he has a direct line to the second most powerful person in the United States, he's going to call his fucking father, you dumbass.
Both of them have admitted, tacitly or not, that the only reason Hunter was in that position was because of his father.
Yes.
The only reason Hunter Biden has any position is because of his father.
Yes.
The reason all that Hunter was doing was selling the influence. of his father.
When Joe
So,
Biden dies, I
when he picks
guarantee
up
you
a phone-
the Biden family name is going to have a massive financial problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which will be sooner rather than later.
Yes,
Well, we'll
hopefully.
see. We'll see what happens. I doubt they'll ever actually get in trouble. But the reality is that if you're peddling influence of your father, as Phillip Bump has admitted to, then why would you not say, I'm calling my dad, then I'm calling DC? If that's...
I like the way they're trying to make it synonymous.
Yeah, I know. Well,
It's not
curious,
working though.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee, careful thing to
Okay,
say.
so let's pause because I thought
Also, bear in mind that he also admits earlier that it's not a good look. That even the administration said that this isn't a good look. So let me get this straight. The administration said it's not a good look to put your fucking kid on the board. But when in trouble, they can just phone DC and DC will take care of it. Like, fucking really?
Yeah,
Like,
I guess so, right?
Come on.
we had just agreed prior to this conversation, this aspect of the conversation, that he later did actually clarify that he only could attest to having there been a call to DC. The lawyer's job is to make sure he's not lying under oath. He's under penalty of perjury when he's making.
So why do you think he
testimony.
said I called?
Let me
he
finish
called his
this. Let
dad?
me finish this. I don't know why he said.
What,
I don't know.
You're a grown
you
man
can't-
who says something like that.
But you can't do this. You can't say he said he's calling his dad, therefore he called his dad. You can't do that and at the same time ignore the fact that he later said, well, actually, I only know he called DC.
I'm sorry. That's like, spoon. If you say you're calling your dad, okay, let me put it in my perspective, okay? I have a better example. If I was calling, my father used to work for the Social Security Administration, right? United States. If I called the Social Security Administration for questions about my Social Security, retirement fund, right? I wouldn't say I'm calling my dad. I mean, my dad hasn't worked there, but let's pretend he still does, right? Presuming my dad still worked at SSA, I wouldn't call SSA and then go, "Oh, I'm calling my dad." No, I'd say I was calling the Social Security Administration. What the hell kind of stupid argument is this? It's absolutely just
it's cope.
out of this world nonsense.
And you can't do that and ignore the fact that he also later said Joe Biden was at no point involved in the business.
Well,
You
listen,
tried to split a
I
hair
totally
earlier about the
disagree.
firing of Shokin. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You earlier tried to split a hair about, the firing of Shokin, that wasn't involved in the business. If Hunter Biden were calling Joe Biden with Burisma next to him to effect change on behalf of Burisma, that's unquestionably about affecting the business if that had occurred. Devin Archer says
You
he knows no instance in
admitted.
which that
Whoa,
occurred.
pause.
Ergo,
You
there's
hang
no
on. Pause.
reason to assume
Please pause.
that
Please
he is
pause.
actually trying to say
Please
he
pause.
called
Because
his
you have to
dad
pause. Because
and
I
then his
can't pause.
lawyers-
Okay, thank
Calm
you.
down, Jesus Christ.
He said if he had called his father while he was on with the board of Burisma, you're the one who said he did that at the beginning of this interview. To say hi, Dad. He's
And
the
put him on
one who said
speakerphone.
and put him on. So that was a contention that you made at the beginning of this call, the beginning of this talk. Holy shit! And now you admit that it would be wrong for him to do that, but you are the one who admitted at the beginning of the call that he did it. I mean, I rest my case, Your Honor. I think he's fucking cooked.
It's like
He's gonna make
pulling
it
him
worse.
off of it for some
Okay.
reason. And even so, none of that deals with the broader evidence, which
In a
which you
normal finding of
refuse to
fact,
engage with.
it's perfectly normal for the opposing counsel to come up and try to rehabilitate or try to think. Obviously,
This is silly. This conversation's silly. I don't understand why we're having this conversation. You refuse
You are
to
silly.
actually engage in this in good faith. You really do.
No.
You
The irony.
I know.
The absolute irony.
Again, he's gonna
You
get
have
worse.
at every point not engaged in good faith in this whatsoever.
very set. Look, you have me on here because I am the putative, according to this expert, guy who knows this stuff, but then you refuse
He was being polite to you, by the way.
I think he was
He
trolling
was
you,
being
actually.
polite.
to acknowledge what I'm saying.
I'm not feeling
It's
that.
really
I'm
unfair.
disagreeing with what you're saying because as a human, all these kind of things.
But you refuse to engage with
Okay,
the evidence I present. There's no evidence.
If I
haven't
was
raised
a
any
juror-
evidence.
See the way he
No,
cuts
if
him
I
off
was a
constantly.
He has not presented a single piece of evidence. He's only contested every single piece of evidence that I'm sorry, what's his name again?
He's left up for interpretation.
The host has offered, which geez, gather up, hang on. Lee. Sorry, I'm not familiar with this podcast. So his name is I think it's Gnome, isn't it? Yeah, Gnome. So he he's just let known, which is by the way, I'd like to point this out. If you ever decide to engage with a leftist, let them bring up all of the evidence, because this is the leftist debate tactic, and it is one tactic. There is only one. You provide evidence. You provide evidence. You provide evidence. They will never provide evidence of their own. Watch any debate with Hassan, watch any debate with Vosh, watch any debate with any leftist streamer, and that includes Destiny to a certain degree. Destiny will get his like team on it, and then eventually he'll get some data, which is true about Destiny. But the vast majority of left-wing people, their whole strategy is to just listen, wait for you to provide evidence, and then say, nope, that's not true. That's been debunked. They won't have a counter source. They'll just say it's been debunked. This is their entire strategy, and it doesn't matter. Like, this guy's not a conservative as far as I know. It doesn't matter, though. They use this on everybody. This is their modus operandi.
Also, you have to
Say
understand.
twice, he called his dad.
Pause.
When you're communicating with a leftist, you're not communicating with someone who's interested in facts and any objectivity. They're only interested in power.
Yep.
So you can't use facts to appeal to them, because that is not the currency for victory in their heads.
Nope.
So when you talk to a leftist, what you're really doing is you're talking to a cultist.
Yep.
So the idea of using facts, you're essentially trying to unbrainwash someone. That's what you're doing.
Which you can't do.
Yes.
And by the way, like, there are people who are brainwashed on the right. Let's not get it confused about that. But this is the left-wing tactic. It is the universal left-wing tactic of source. They won't provide any sources. They'll just claim that if they don't like your source,
I don't give the right brainwash. They're still correct.
Or that your source is bad. This is the way it works every single time. And it's why I don't personally engage in debates unless it's with people that I respect, who I think are capable of having an actual conversation with me. So, yeah. And you can watch my video on why debates don't matter from a scientific perspective as well. Whoop.
God damn it.
And I heard him say spun and fed. And this is chess, not checkers. The totality of all that, I would
Spoon, you
say
Yes.
that was a pretty powerful picture of a man who was.
This is my point, because you refuse to acknowledge any of the other evidence that runs contrary to that,
What's
which is
the
the
evidence?
the fact
when
that
Goldman
he later walked that back. The fact that he said Joe Biden was not.
That's not evidence, you fucking idiot. That's just a correction, and you are disputing why. Because you think, oh, it's just because the only reason that you offer up is because, oh, he did that because he doesn't want to lie under oath, as opposed to, no, he's trying to not incriminate himself. Like, fuck out of here.
Not involved in in any conversation in the business with Devin Archer and Hunter Biden. The fact that Hunter Biden said we need to make it look like
being
my
involved in
father's
the business is a different matter.
Of course it is. Of course it changes. Of course you change your verbiage in order to suit your argument. Look, this is silly. This is silly. There's no point in this conversation.
Define being involved in business, and I can tell you that's what we're talking. What do you mean by define?
How would it not be the case that if Devin Archer actually thought that Hunter Biden had stood with a Burisma executive and called Joe Biden, that wouldn't count as him getting Joe Biden involved in the business? How would that not meet any standard, any reasonable standard?
Because,
it would.
Because
of course you have it. Because look,
you asked
I
me,
think I'm about done.
answer it.
I think I'm about done. This is silly. It's a silly conversation because you refuse to acknowledge any of the contrary evidence. You had me here to present to you.
You refuse to acknowledge anything.
I'm happy to do that, but you refuse to acknowledge it. All you want to do is berate me.
What can I search for here?
What projection? What goddamn projection? Holy crap! God.
Find the Goldman testimony. So the answer.
It's at the end of Devin Archer.
What word should I search for?
I don't know. I don't.
Oh, of course you don't.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here all night while you search stuff on your computer. This is silly.
Do you know or do you not know? You don't know. When I brought up my document, I'm able to search it very quickly to find the information that I'm looking for. People's names, dates. I can do that all very easily. You don't know shit, do you? Because you've made it all up. What a spoon. I can't stand this dude.
Okay. Look, I don't mean to be disrespectful.
I was trying to do it to give the best airing of the point you're trying to make.
Well, don't you trust that I'm presenting it accurately?
No, not even a little bit.
Presenting it accurately, but I would like to get the exact
I don't.
quote,
well, I for one don't.
We can parse it.
Okay, but but this is my point. We don't need to, because you had a circumstantial piece of evidence. I rebutted that, and actually presented an additional reason the circumstantial evidence is invalid. You, meanwhile, have not dealt with any of the direct evidence because you refuse to do so.
Okay.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You don't have any direct evidence.
What direct evidence do you have? This is the thing that's crazy. They don't have, where is the direct evidence? Where is the direct evidence that it didn't happen? What direct evidence? All we have is the circumstantial. That's all we have. There's no direct evidence for or against. So where's the goddamn direct evidence? Where is the non-smoking gun that this didn't happen? Show me.
Okay, you know what? I'm just saying that I think when somebody 2 times says, "Yeah, Vadim told me,"
I know what you're saying.
I know that you can't prove a negative. I know it's trying to prove a negative, but still,
sophisticated people are not capable of.
Well, I'm dim-witted, and so I assume that the other things that he said are valid.
Especially someone who's been.
Well, that's the first correct thing you've said is that you are dim-witted. Yeah, accurate.
Who's about to go to jail this issue's at the front of his mind for a long time, is not capable of misspeaking twice. I didn't mean he called his dad. I didn't mean he called the vice president. I meant he called some bureaucrat. It's a tremendous mistake to make. Would you agree? It's a tremendous. It's akin to the guy accused of murder saying, "Yeah, and then I stabbed her." And they're like, "You didn't mean you stabbed?" No, I didn't mean I stabbed her. But how did he say? No, didn't you hear the evidence? He said he didn't stab her. Yeah, but I also heard him say he did stab her. You should not have. That means nothing. How could you even think the fact that he would slip and say something like he stabbed her is something you should take seriously? Didn't I prove to you when the other lawyer said, and he said I didn't stab her? He said
Can I put something on this?
Twice.
One sec. Let me pause real quick. Can I put something along this line? Right? Is that the only apparent evidence that people like a Bum are willing to accept is Hunter Biden and Joe Biden themselves admitting to corruption. Yeah, and anything outside of that is not a smoking gun. So no amount of, which is not how any other kind of trial would work. It would be like, look, we have this evidence and this evidence and this evidence that all points in this direction. But no, the only thing that he will accept, seemingly, is Joe and Hunter Biden admitting to being corrupt, which is never, of course, going to happen. It's an absurd degree of it's an absurd request that is an impossibility and an unreality. But he's not the only one who does that, as we're all aware.
I'm of the mind to say that's much more likely to be the true story than the one his lawyer egged him to say.
Fine.
That's and I would say that objectively in any criminal. Okay.
Got it.
So
great.
Now there's other stuff that came out in my research here. So first of all, Matt Taibbi. So
okay, I'm not gonna. I appreciate this. This has been very entertaining.
All right, you know what? Let's.
Oh, here we go. So as soon as he brings up Matt Taibbi,
yeah,
he wants to know about.
Yeah.
Oh my God, let's go.
Listen to this.
Let's
get
because we're not getting anywhere because you refuse to move from.
Okay.
Yeah, this.
Let's go over the laptop.
Engaged.
Let's go.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not going to. There's no point. There's no point. I appreciate you having me on.
Because it would ruin your argument.
Because you all you want to do is you want to have me here as the putative expert so that you can present me with things that have been debunked multiple times that I've written about.
They have not been
debunked. These claims I've written about.
What claims?
About this.
What claims? What claims? You won't even say it.
Let him talk.
Argument about his dad calling him. I've written about this. Did you read what I
wrote?
wrote?
It's not debunked. Neither of us were there.
Well, I debunked it in the standpoint that I've already addressed this. And
what the fuck does that even mean?
So I made an argument as to why I don't think it happened, but we're not going to talk about the Matt Taibbi files, all that stuff. We're going to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop and all of the emails that were on it.
Isn't it
interesting though? The second he brings up the Biden laptop, he's like, "I gotta go."
By the way, listen to his reasoning for this.
Yeah, and presented the counter arguments to it.
Okay, so this is what I feel about this. This is what I'm saying: the blood in the water. To me, all these words like spun, fed.
This is silly. Again, this is silly.
Okay.
Why are we going over this again?
Let's get off this then. And also, I don't know what your take is on this alias email, but that's nothing. When the laptop came out, they said it was not verified, and initially,
I'm going to lose my mind. Ask your question.
Is not something we can talk about?
No, of course we can talk about.
Half the country believes
you
this
can't
stuff.
talk about it.
I know, because half the country doesn't actually dig into the issues, and they instead
here's your
take
chance to disabuse people.
Go ahead.
Okay, well then go ahead.
Don't read the Washington Post.
Go ahead.
Disprove it.
I at first said, "Well, this is really fishy. This guy who doesn't remember, blah blah blah." But a week later, Fox News presented, and the New York Times then covered it, that the FBI had been seized and had seized the laptop in 2019. There was an evidence number and all that stuff, right? That was before the first debate. And the laptop, we knew then, had been dropped off before Biden had even declared his candidacy. So at that point, I thought to myself, well, obviously this laptop is real. And yet Biden got on TV and said this is a hoax. They asked him, are you saying, no, he said it's a plant. He said, and they asked him, are you saying this is a hoax? And he said, yeah, that's exactly what you remember that? I
don't remember exactly what he said, but yes, he was
of course,
not
of course you
embracing
know.
of the idea.
Yeah. So actually, it's really quick. Play the.
Where are you going with this? Like literally, where are you
The
going?
first one, Nicole. Biden labels 100. Well, question is, do you think he was telling the truth then?
What difference? Literally, what difference does it make?
A hell of a lot of difference. Judging from the polling, it would have made the difference between Trump versus Biden being elected. It makes a damn hell of a lot of difference.
So
he's running for president. What difference does it make?
So what difference does it make? So let me get this straight. When someone comes and says, hey, look, here's a whole stack of evidence of the corruption that you and your son have been engaged in.
That you have been involved in, indirectly or directly, yes.
Yes, and you openly say, and also throw the security under the bus, the security apparatus of your country by saying 50 former heads of intelligence have said this has all the hallmarks of Russian information, which is a fucking lie. Which was used
no,
they
to
don't.
help, which still to this day is used as part of the American war machines funding the war in Ukraine. I don't care what you think about it or not. They still be like, well, is that Russian disinformation? Russia's always been the enemy of the United States forever and ever and ever.
Yes, secondly, we know this isn't true because, first of all, how in the fucking hell can they seize it in 2019, okay, and then they tell you, oh, it has Russian disinformation. And then a year later, they come out and say, oh, by the way, it was real.
Oh, it wasn't.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Now this is the thing. There's two ways, and they're both lying. Because either, one, you had no fucking idea what was on it, in which case, when you say this is Russian information, you're lying because you have no idea what the fuck is on it. Or two, you did know what was on it, and then you lied either way.
Yep.
So it's either a lie of ignorance or a lie of malice.
Lie of omission. Yeah.
Yes.
It's malice or ignorance. Either way, you lied.
Either way,
you didn't do your due. Either way, you did not do your due diligence.
Yeah, because then 6 months later, when they actually looked at the laptop, which tells you they didn't fucking look at it to begin with, and then they say, oh, it's real. So again, it's either you didn't fucking know and you lied, or you knew what was on it and you lied either way. So this is why I'm saying that the whole, there was 50 intelligence operations, like, motherfucker, like, I want to know what the fuck does that even mean? How the fuck did 50?
I don't know what that meant either.
How the hell did 50 people take it? So let me get this straight. This laptop came in, and then you suddenly went, oh, we need 50 people to verify this is fucking fake. And then 6 months down the line, you say, oh, it's real. Really?
Yeah, after the election. After the election, very curiously. Right after the election, not directly after.
Beyond
you know what that was.
Which, of course, I don't think he should lie. But beyond political, what difference does it make?
I'll tell you why in a second. I have a good answer to that.
Oh, I look forward to hearing.
I want to talk about. Then he's a corrupt politician. Right. So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician. Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race.
Look at how angry he is.
Let me respond to that.
Please.
Because look, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan.
Who the fuck believes that shit? Like, seriously?
Nope, wasn't. And look, always what you notice with Biden is that when he gets confronted with real shit, you can see he gets angry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's just kind of a doddering old coot. But when he gets confronted with real accusations, his brain activates and he gets mad. You saw it right there. There was his anger. There it was.
They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties,
who work for you.
What he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, appeal to authority.
Even they're supposed to report to Trump, but they worked for you.
By the way,
8 years.
By the way, even CNN played this clip and said Biden was lying.
Yep, because he was.
Yeah.
Wait, it says here's object.
His and his
outright
good
lie.
friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly.
I love Trump.
Okay.
I love Trump's body language. Look at him.
He says it was a hoax. He said that's exactly, and didn't get the last word out. But what other word could it be? If if everything was forged, he had to know. So the question is, why did he lie?
Did you literally? And I'm trying very hard to be respectful.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sure you are.
No, you're not.
Really am. This is easily addressed if you'd read 2 articles that are not written by Matt Taibbi, Tucker Carlson.
He talks like a woman, by the way. I'm trying really, really, really hard. I really am.
By the way,
speak.
listen to this. If you think everything he so far has said is up to shit, listen to this.
So the only way that you would know this is but hang on. Sorry. The only way you'd know otherwise is if you just all you read were articles from Matt Taibbi, because we. The only way that you'd know this is all you have to read is articles by Matt Taibbi. Okay.
Really am. This is easily addressed if you'd read 2 articles that are not written by Matt Taibbi, Tucker Carlson, or the New York
I read a
like
lot more than Matt Taibbi.
It is,
and I don't read Tucker Carlson.
But I mean,
so why do you lie? Because he's running for president. You acknowledge that he lied there.
Did he know that the FBI had this in 2018?
Well,
could he possibly have known that?
Yes.
Yes.
Because Hunter would have known that.
How would Hunter know that? The laptop was.
Because his laptop was taken, you fucking moron.
Hunter dropped the laptop off. Oh my god.
Also, why would the security apparatus lie?
Oh my god.
You notice nobody answered that?
2018. He got it from the store.
All right,
he has this. No.
You're right about that.
Excuse me. He has this letter, which was signed by 50 people. He misrepresented it first, saying that they said it was Russian. They didn't. They said it had they had the hallmark of being a Russian citizen.
Yeah, now who's busy with the fucking language?
And
now,
they've all it's all been walked back. By the way, now.
By the way, do you notice this? He when it was him talking to the lawyer, Devin Archer talking to the lawyer, then it's Weasley words. Oh, then he's not really a Weasel,
right.
Now he does the same fucking thing with hallmarks is different.
Hallmarks, right? That's not a weasel word.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, all of this has been since walked back.
Yes.
As they knew it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, so what are you why are we even discussing this? Because it turned out they did know the whole time.
Wait, it's gonna get even stupider. It's gonna get even stupider.
Every single person lied.
Information idea. Did you know that there was a report from Time Magazine that said a lot of this material from Hunter Biden that ended up on laptop was actually floating around Ukraine in early 2020?
Why do you think it was that?
That there was actually available, people were trying to sell it to folks. Did you know that?
A report now
from Time Magazine, yeah. The Time Magazine reporter who's
verified.
Ukraine.
Is the report verified?
Well, I mean, it's a report. Yeah.
Well, there's
like,
reports.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Okay, so
hang on. Okay. No, stop. Pause, please. I'm sorry. A report? Did you say from Vanity Fair?
Time Magazine.
A report from Vanity Fair.
Time
that
Magazine,
has
not
no
Vanity
source.
Fair.
Oh, Time Magazine. Okay, sorry. From
That's
Time
still
Magazine.
not incredible.
Should be taken that has no source. Should be taken more seriously than something that has dozens and dozens and dozens of sources that we know for a fact is correct because we have the documents, we have the files. But a report. Well, why wouldn't it be true? What is Flip? The second that it helps his side, why won't you believe my fantasy? I won't believe your data, but why don't you believe my fantasy? This guy's out of his mind.
Fine.
I mean, you're
fine.
I mean, you're
I'm not saying it's valid. I'm not saying it's necessarily valid. I'm just saying
think it's
that
valid?
I think that it certainly seems credible. Yeah, absolutely. There are indications that Hunter Biden's iCloud account had been hacked. There's strong, and you can.
Okay. I'm going to concede to you that it's
fine.
Possible.
So why does he say this? In part, probably because he doesn't know the laptop was taken by the FBI, and he says it in part because he's seen this.
It wasn't taken by the FBI. It was given to the FBI.
It was given to the FBI.
Yes. And
why
yes.
is he? Yeah.
And half of the copy was copied by the guy who got the laptop at the PC shop. It was given to Rudy Giuliani because he didn't trust the fucking FBI.
Exactly. That's why he gave it to Rudy Giuliani as well. Yep.
Yes, and given the fact that the FBI came out and said, "Oh, this is all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation," the gentleman was correct to give it to Rudy fucking Giuliani because the FBI fucking lied about it.
Exactly.
And also, the guy who looked at it obviously knew it was not Russian disinformation because he gave it to fucking Giuliani. So he looked at the evidence. Even a computer worker with no fucking legal expertise looked at this and went, "There's a lot of shady shit here. I don't trust the legal officials. I'm gonna trust fucking Rudy Giuliani instead."
Again, what lunacy. Rat King, when am I going on Lotus Eaters? On the 8th, but I don't know if that's the day that the stuff will go up. So it might be the 9th or the 10th. I don't know. Or later. I have no idea how they schedule out their content.
This letter.
But he had to know the emails were legit.
How could he have known that? He didn't know what the emails were. Do you think
they were in the Post?
There was one thing in the New York Post that was not that was addressed to Hunter Biden.
Right.
So
but
unless maybe he asked Hunter Biden and said, "Go back through your emails and see."
No,
if you
the
have
thing in
this
the New York
email."
Post regarded his meeting with Vadim.
Right, but that's not what we're talking about.
And he knew he met with Vadim, so he knew this was true.
Well,
yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly.
Hey, look, here's an email document about the time that you met this guy.
Absolutely got him.
Yeah.
But
he would know that was real. Like, bitch, that was the one that was leaked in the Post. The leaked in the Post said, hey, look, you met with this guy. And the Post included the fucking vice president, who obviously would know because it's including fucking him in it.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about, you fucking dopehead jackass?
he doesn't necessarily know that this email was accurate.
it was involving him.
He was
what the
CC'd on it. What are you talking about? This guy's out of his mind. But I want you guys to know, this guy, again, just to remind you, is a lead author on the Washington Post. This is the left. This is the stuff that they believe. Nonsense. And you can confront them with evidence, you confront them with data, and they are Gnostics. They have a fanatical religious belief. And you are, if you in any way try to challenge their faith in the democratic system in which they always win, then they go mad because you've challenged their God, which is democracy, and by that they mean the state.
He could ask Hunter.
Are we talking about the laptop? Or are we talking about
Hold
this
on.
meeting?
If my wife...
Both. The meeting was on the laptop, you fucking goofy dumbass.
Yep. If I find...
I just don't understand. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the laptop or the meeting?
If somebody's...
Have you noticed he says that a lot? Whenever he gets
what?
challenged, he says like, oh, what are we talking about? Like, bitch, you fucking know what you're talking about.
It's very common, by the way. It's a very common leftist tactic. I've seen every leftist debater. I've seen every leftist debater use this tactic of being like, I don't understand. What are we talking about? I'm confused.
My wife in
they just feign ignorance.
Emo. She somehow comes across an email that says, I'm fucking her sister. And she says to me, is this true? I was like, well, it's not verified.
What happened in 2016?
So
what happened in 2016?
What do you mean by that?
In October 2016, what happened?
What I'm saying,
what happened in October 2016?
How the fuck do we know what you're talking about?
WikiLeaks starts producing all this material that had been stolen by...
Listen.
Wait, pause. Okay, just pause. What happened in October of 2016? I don't know, a lot of stuff. He brings up a broad date in order to try and make Noam look stupid when he's like, I don't know. Because he has no idea what the fuck you're talking about because you just brought up a broad month and a year. So no, he doesn't know what the hell you're talking about because no one knows what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
You absolute loon.
By the Russian government from Hillary Clinton's campaign and from the DNC, right? That was material that was a Russian disinformation campaign to extent, but also a Russian interference.
God.
This debate is after we knew the FBI took it from the guy in 2019, before he was running for president. We already knew.
No, we didn't know that the FBI had that point.
Yes.
We found out post facto, though.
Yes.
We know now that the FBI had
it
that
for over a year.
A year before Joe Biden started running for president. So, no, you're right. We, the American people, didn't know that at the time, but the FBI did, and they released that information. How can you not understand? Can you not piece together a basic timeline? Look, what is your IQ? I'm sorry, my dude. I don't like to bring that shit up, but I think that you're not intelligent enough to be in the position that you're at. I'm actually concerned if you can write a sentence in the English language at this point.
This debate?
The Fox News story that showed the FBI evidence number. You don't know this came out before the debate.
Okay, fine. It doesn't. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters hugely because the entire basis of that letter of 51, the entire basis of that letter of the 51 intelligence officers was gutted. Okay, here's the last one. So my point was that once we found out that the FBI had taken possession of the laptop in December of 2019, the rationale of the letter from the 51 intelligence officers was gutted. And this was known and should have been realized before that debate where Biden called it disinformation. Sorry, I'm a little tired. So here is from the letter. This was the stated rationale. For the Russians at this point, with Trump down in the polls, there is incentive for Moscow to pull out the stops to do anything possible to help Trump win and or to weaken Biden should he win. A laptop op fits the bill as the publication of the emails are clearly designed to discredit Biden. But again, the laptop was with the guy in April of 2019 before Biden
Yep.
had declared for the presidency. So it couldn't be because Trump was down in the polls. It couldn't be something to be done because Trump's loss seemed imminent. The rest of the letter also focuses on Giuliani, for instance. Our view that the Russians are involved in the Hunter Biden email issue is consistent with two other significant data points as well. According to the Washington Post, citing 4 sources, quote, U.S. intelligence agencies warned the White House last year that Giuliani was the target of an influence operation by Russian intelligence. Yes, but again, since the laptop was dropped off in April of 2019, it wouldn't have been the issue with Giuliani. And one has to imagine that if the intelligence officials had known that the FBI had the laptop.
We're talking about many months before the election. Even election season was not even in swing in April of 2019.
Maybe they would have never written that letter.
But this is my point. My point is that the Russian disinformation campaign / interference campaign in 2016 was predicated on the release of real information. And what that letter said is, this looks like the same thing. His response there is, this looks like the same thing based on this letter from these experts.
A hoax? A hoax doesn't sound like real
first of all, you just admitted he didn't say it was a hoax, but yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Well, you just said
he
he
said,
didn't say
you mean it's a hoax?
Right,
He said, yeah,
right,
that's exactly what.
Right. No, he said, is it like the Russia hoax? And he says, yes. So what does Trump say is the Russia hoax? He says anything related to Russian interference is part of the Russia hoax. Right. So we don't know that Joe Biden's. I mean, look, yes, we can sit here and parse this, but none of this gets to the point, which is you have no evidence that Joe Biden acted on Hunter Biden's behalf or that Joe Biden took money. And now let's go back. Let's go back.
There's never going to be
That
evidence.
Hunter Biden didn't take money? That Joe Biden didn't take money? 10% for the big guy. 10% for the big guy. Right there. But that's the thing. He'll just say like, oh, wait, that's not proof. I'm assuming that's like, no. Doesn't matter that he set up his son into all these positions. Could you imagine someone trying to make these kinds of defenses if Trump had done this stuff? If Trump had done this stuff with Don Jr.? I mean, they would be calling for them both to be hung in a public square. They already are with Trump. But they'd be calling for Don Jr. too if they'd done this. But no, because it's their side. It's their team. That's it. They're allowed to do whatever they want.
It's not because if there were, then you'd actually have your point proven. There's no evidence that your point is accurate. Let's go back to your point about family and how family works together.
Also, want to talk about his body language now. It's getting increasingly feminine. He's a lot of hand movements, and it's very. If you look at the hand movements and the way that they are, is that they're closed in towards his body, and they're flourishy, feminine hand movements.
And so on and so forth. That's all very well and good, right? That's all very well and good that you and your dad made money. He gave money to your mother. That's fine. That's great.
But there is evidence.
This is the question is, did Joe Biden have Hunter Biden act on his behalf in order to enrich himself and to look the other way?
But this also is evidence that he can't control his body posture anymore completely. He was very reserved. Originally crossed his arms. He's constricted, doesn't want to be part of the conversation. Now he's waving around flagrantly.
On behalf of that. That's the fundamental question.
Not to me. I didn't make that. I'm not trying. I can't prove that.
Okay, then what's your question?
Then
what's your question about Joe Biden's behavior?
I have two issues here. One is Joe Biden's behavior, and one is the issue of the press. The press actually bothers me more than Joe Biden.
Because you don't listen to the press. I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, you're wrong about these things, and you don't listen, and you continue to insist upon things that are, parsing of language, and it's just.
I'm sitting here and I'm telling you what you need to believe because I'm a member of the establishment elite and you're not just believing it. You're supposed to believe it. I am from the Washington Post and you have to believe everything that I say. That's what he's saying, isn't it, Spoon?
Mm-hmm.
How can you not just believe everything I say? I'm from the Washington Post.
This is why I keep saying it's silly.
So on the issue of Biden, I think that it's obvious that he was aware that he was being helpful to his son in his son's relationship with these criminals. And that is a scandal because he was working against American policy. It doesn't have to be criminal. Very few serious scandals are criminal. Trump was famously impeached, not for doing anything criminal. As a matter of fact, Dershowitz was mocked because Dershowitz's argument was, unless it's criminal, you can't impeach him. Remember that?
Actually, Dershowitz was mocked because his argument was because the president did it and he was doing it in service of his campaign, that is a political act and therefore he can't be impeached for it. And that's what got him mocked.
No, that's not correct. He was mocked for saying that things had to be, you can check it out. It had to be
This
had
guy
been criminal
can't tell
to
the
be
truth for
impeachable.
5 seconds.
And
I'm sorry. This man is so politically illiterate, and yet he writes about politics. How, Sven, it drives me up the wall. Like, I know that we do a political show here in our small little space on the internet, which I quite enjoy doing. I like hanging out with this community of people. I think we have a really cool community of people here, or we built something kind of neato. But, like, this dude gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to write an article every couple of weeks about his opinions on politics. And this is his level of acumen. His level of acumen is the floor. He's rolling around in the dirt. He's an absolute rube. Jesus Christ.
it doesn't have to be criminal. What Trump was impeached for was putting his personal issues in front of American policy. If Biden helped his son by obstructing American policy in some way, even if it's minorly in terms of everybody thinking his hands off Burisma, or more seriously in terms of pulling the trigger on Shokin,
it's just,
then that's very, very serious. It doesn't need to be criminal.
But again,
can I read from the?
No, you can't, because here's the thing. You just suggested,
of course,
that if if it was him trying to pull the trigger on Shokin, but again, you've offered no evidence beyond your parsing of what Devin Archer said under oath, and you're insisting that because of how he said it, he meant the opposite under oath. That therefore Shokin was actually.
You want
someone
evidence? I mean, I
gotta go. Like,
evidence,
this has been great.
Evidence.
Like,
oh, you want evidence? Nope. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here before you. What a freaking gopher, dude.
Hold on, it's gonna get worse.
Literally, I was told this is going to be 45 minutes, and we've been going for
well
over
It's
an hour.
a shame, because this is a good conversation.
It's not a good conversation because you refuse to listen to what I'm saying to you. You asked me on to present
He
evidence.
has listened to you.
I think you think I have to agree with
you. Have provided no
Oh,
evidence.
no, hold on a second. He says something here that I think is really funny.
Listening. I'm listening very. I mean,
Listen to the reasoning.
Evidence? I mean,
I gotta go. Like,
evidence,
this has been great. This
evidence.
Is, like, literally, I was told this is going to be 45 minutes, and we've been going for well over an
It's
hour.
a shame, because this is a good conversation.
It's not a good conversation because you refuse to listen to what I'm saying to you. You asked me on to present evidence. I keep telling you.
I think you think I have to agree with you to be listening. I'm listening very.
Headshot. That was clean. That was a kill shot.
You think I have to agree
right
with you?
There, that right there, that guy just won the argument.
He
By
did,
that
yep.
fucking argument, he fucking killed you.
Yep.
Very carefully.
No, what I think is,
as a matter of fact, I even conceded some points that you made.
Well, that's
he did,
because
I was listening.
Valid points. Look, I'm not saying
no.
But he had to
it's
listen
not
to you
you
to
made
get to
valid
that.
Points.
Yes.
It is not because you made valid points. It's because he was being cordial to you.
Yes.
By the way, that's exactly because you actually were not correct. He conceded points to you that he then receded when it turned out that you were incorrect. But he still gave them to you in good faith because he was being polite.
That I do think this was a bit of a setup. I'll say that.
Taibbi
oh my God.
I do think this was a setup.
Okay.
Taibbi absolutely has an agenda. Of course he has there's no question.
You have no agenda?
I do have an agenda.
Okay.
My agenda
So
is
you
to
reliable?
do my best to try and present accurate information to the public.
No.
No, you fucking don't.
No. You're a far leftist of some ilk. I don't know exactly what. But you're some kind of far leftist. You have an agenda. This guy, I mean, Noam approached you. He was so polite. He was so laid back. You were aggressive from Jump Street.
KG,
from second one,
very defensive.
you have a closed off body posture. You are just angry at every single thing he says. You have not debunked a single goddamn thing he said with any kind of factual data or information. You've done nothing but just say, no, that's not true because I don't like it. This is an embarrassment. Phillip Bump, I don't know. I hope you are. I don't know who the hell you are, but Washington Post should probably reconsider if they want to keep someone like you on their freaking roster. Because Jesus Christ, you are not a journalist. You are not an intellectual. You're, I guess, is that why the Washington Post keeps you on? Because I'm sure it is, that you are a propagandist. Wow.
Yeah, that's the whole fucking stuff.
And I have an institution behind me the whole time.
Oh my God. Hang on. He has an institution behind him. Let's go.
I do think this is a setup.
Okay.
Taibbi absolutely has an agenda. Of course he has. There's no question.
He doesn't, by the way, for the reason that he's just going to mention.
You have no agenda.
I do have an agenda.
Okay.
My agenda
So
is
are you
to
reliable?
do my best to try and present accurate information to the public, and I have an institution behind me that holds me to account when I don't do that.
Holds you to
Washington
account.
Post does not hold anyone to account.
Unless you go against the regime, in which case, yes, they will.
We've looked at so many examples.
Matt Taibbi
does
does not
year,
have that behind him.
Over the last year, I think you and I have looked at several examples where the Washington Post has had to retract privately and quietly a bunch of their articles. I've seen it over the course of the last 5 or 6 years that I've been looking at it independently. The Washington Post quietly retracts their work constantly because it's wrong all of the time. Because the Washington Post prioritizes opinion pieces over facts. This guy writes opinion pieces, which means no facts.
Yeah, opinions.
Which I think is an important consideration. But look, here's the thing: you came into this with a preset understanding, and
you spent so much time not letting me think. We could have covered a lot more ground. I just want to say, I'll say before we go that what astounded me about the press. If you answer 2 questions, it'd be nice.
But I mean, again, you're attacking the press because you refuse to listen to what we're saying.
Okay.
No, actually, he listened to every word you have to say, hence why he even considered your fucking points, you dumbass.
That's the problem. Is he actually listened to what you were saying and looked at what the totality of what the press was saying, and not just your one publication.
Also,
and that's where he found the errors.
Also, this doesn't make any sense. In order for him to have debunked you, he would have to read what the press has to fucking say to get to the debunking to begin with.
Yep.
So this whole idea that they doesn't listen to the press is just false on its face.
Right. Yep. Prima facie. Yep.
Fucking moron.
What an idiot.
And anyone who has a distrusting of the press, the reason they have a distrust of the press is because they read you and they look at the world and go, what the fucking hell are these retards smoking?
Yep. Exactly.
How do you not see this, you fucking imbecile? Jesus Christ.
I know.
You want to say that I haven't listened to, and then you let me ask my question?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we had to go over these things over and over and over again is evidence that you're not actually listening to what I'm saying, or you're not exceeding the point that obviously if someone...
Okay, so let me get this straight. He knew what the fuck you were talking about, and then he asks you questions on the things you talk about, and so far, I don't
you didn't
think...
like that either.
Yes, yeah. And when he debunks you, from his perspective, your instant reaction is, how dare you fucking question me? Yeah, that's essentially... Yes, essentially has been your fucking reply. Like, this is fucking cope.
When it's saying under oath X, you can't then just say, well, I assume he means not X, despite all the external evidence which you have refused consistently to address. No,
he's saying that this is what you do the first time around is actually what you really, really mean, because your lawyers have to correct you the second time around.
Yep.
And then it becomes a case of whose case do you find more credible? Whose case do you find more credible? You're fucking one of, oh well, no, it's because of the lawyers. He doesn't want to incriminate himself, or B, or he doesn't want to land oath. Sorry, and the other one is no, he doesn't want to incriminate himself. And if we're considering it's fucking Hunter Biden, who the DC told him, do not put your son on the fucking board, you jackass. And then when he says, oh, I phoned my father, and not fucking DC, who doesn't like me, who did not like me on the fucking board to begin with, who is he really going to call? Like, dude, fucking come on. This is ridiculous.
The fact that there's no evidence for, and in fact, evidence to the contrary of your central point about Shokin and Burisma.
No, there actually isn't any evidence to that contrary at all. That's a crock of shit.
Completely not correct. Crock of shit, yep.
You haven't addressed that at all.
Well,
but yeah, I would
address it.
Actually,
he did address it. You were unable to respond to it. That was the issue.
Yeah.
Try to get it out, you stopped me.
That's not true.
Every time,
that actually is true.
Shokin said there's a leaked phone call, and there was evidence yesterday in the papers yesterday that the State Department said
do you think Shokin's a reliable interlocutor?
It's evidence.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, he's just like the entire point was.
But he's not. This is the point.
Do you see what I mean?
It's the preponderance of evidence.
Do you see what I mean?
Shokin's just one person.
But do you see what I mean by I said as soon as he's corruption, he's just trying to dismiss his perspective? Is it? He's corrupt. Yeah. As if you aren't.
Because he's corrupt.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's
our corruption is better because we're more moral. That's basically what it comes down to.
It's solipsism because he's corrupt. He knows he's corrupt, and he's like, yeah, well, everyone's corrupt, right? So why are you calling out corruption? He can't understand it because he is a corrupt individual, and he can't understand why corruption is bad because he is corrupt. Yeah.
That he was a corrupt government official who got
well, what's interesting, I never got to get it out, but what is interesting is that Shokin made
that smile, the fakest smile I've ever seen.
And then Taibbi had some released transcript of a call between Biden and Poroshenko. And it's interesting how they line up. I was surprised by that. And then yesterday, something came out in the papers that said that the State Department had said that Shokin was doing a good job. So this is all...
Yeah, so I saw that in the New York Post, right? That there was this one memo that came out in 2015 after there had already been this pressure on Shokin. So one memo, but that's called cherry picking. Which is all this
but I would say the weakest thing you've said.
I saw that stuff back in... I have evidence of that goes back 2016, 2017. I have evidence of Shokin being said that he was doing a good job back from that point in time, back from 2014. Actually, I have those evidence. It's in my fucking Ukraine video. You can go find it. He was not considered to be a corrupt prosecutor at the time. This is a new narrative.
The obvious telegraphing of what Devin Archer is saying in terms of Fed and spun and chess, not checkers. I mean, checkers, not chess, whatever he said. To say, well, he's trying to please Tucker Carlson. I mean, that's a leap of faith. Maybe you're right.
So let's say this. I agree.
Devin
with
Archer
you
is not.
I agree with you that Hunter Biden's activity when Joe Biden was both serving as vice president and afterward, I agree that it was sketchy. I agree that it was a bad look. I agree that particularly while he's serving as president, he ought not to have been doing that. If it emerges in the future, which it may, I absolutely concede the point that there may be direct evidence that Joe Biden took bribe.
There you go. There it is. I need the direct evidence. All the circumstantial evidence. The giant building on fucking fire with smoke. Yes.
What do you take from?
I hate to be rude about this, but this is the problem that Sitch has as well. Is that I need video evidence of Joe Biden handing a bag. I need to be able to see through the bag to know how much money is in it, or a suitcase of $1 billion in cash to a person from Ukraine in order for me to be able to believe that this is true. And I'm sorry, that's just not how it works, guys. It's not how it works. It doesn't happen with someone handing over a suitcase of money. It doesn't happen like that. That's very silly.
How did Al Capone get brought down?
Oh, it was over wasn't it like not having licenses for stuff?
It was tax evasion.
Tax evasion, yeah.
It wasn't for all the racketeering shit that he did. It was fucking tax evasion. So let me get this straight. A guy in the 1930s was brought down by that shit. Okay, so you telling me like over like 50 fucking years later they wouldn't get more sophisticated? They work in the political apparatus. Like fucking get real, you dumb asshole.
I can't believe I forgot what Al Capone was before. Let's finish this though.
From the text message to his adult daughter, Hunter's text message. I have to give 50% of my income to Pop.
I have no idea what that means.
I give 50% of my income to Pop. I don't know what that means. Like, dude, really? Seriously, you don't know what that means. Like,
this guy is such a loser. What a silly dude. You're just a silly man. You're very silly. We all see how silly you are. You're a very, very silly person.
I don't.
That guy's never gotten laid in his entire life.
I know it's circumstantial evidence, and you prefer that.
No, what could it be?
I have no.
He's not saying it's not one piece of circumstantial evidence, though, is it? What he told you in the beginning.
I don't know what it means. Really, what do you think it means?
Is that it was the preponderance of circumstantial evidence, which is what he's been talking to you about for the last hour.
No idea.
But
I don't know.
Well,
I appreciate your.
Has anybody asked her?
I don't know.
Don't you think somebody should ask her?
Okay. Like I'm not. I just said I don't know, and I don't know what to make of it, so I have nothing else to say about it.
Yeah,
what do you want me to say?
Yeah, but you say there's no evidence, but then there's a text message where he says, "I give Pop 50% of my money." That's evidence.
Okay. Well, okay, fine.
So
it's evidence. I appreciate you having me on.
It doesn't. That something like that. Who do you think is being more? I listen to that and I'm saying, you can free to go.
I feel like you want me to leave, like just walk out in the middle of this because that way you can
you can go.
Right.
Is this a standard? Really, this is the way the Washington Post handles people who disagree with them.
When I agree to be on for 45 minutes,
go,
and then I get on for an hour and 15. Yeah, that after a while I go.
Go.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Bye. All right. So he's a loser. He looks like an absolute lunatic. It's hilarious. Let me hit the rest of these super chats. And then, guys, if you are down, I have about 35 minutes of my new video edited, sort of, not completed. If you'd like to watch a preview, I will be over in the Broken Crown channel, and I will preview the part of my video that I have done because I'm not going to be able to work on it for a week. I'll work on it for a little bit. What?
I'm sleepy as shit.
I figured you were. Let me hit the rest of these super chats, and then let's see. And then we'll, if you guys want to head over again to the Broken Crown Discord afterwards, I'm going to preview my video. It's not done, by the way, guys. Just to reiterate, about 35, 40 minutes of it, something in that, I don't actually recall, are done. Anywho, where are we at?
Go to Broken Crowd, watch a broken video.
Rude. It will be broken because my software stinks. But I am using now Adobe Premiere.
It was just for funny.
I told you how much I hated Premiere, but now I figured out how to use it, and now I hate the fact that I couldn't figure it out. Because it turned out that you were right. Remember when we were talking about Premiere? You said your files are probably corrupt, and I was like, no, fuck you, Premiere. And then it turned out that actually my files were corrupt.
Say that last part again.
My files were corrupt.
No, before that.
You were right.
There you go.
were right. You were right.
It happens.
My files were corrupt.
It happens so often.
You were right.
Because the error message that you showed me, I'm like, Aiden, I don't
even think I had told you that. I don't think I've even told you that in private. That's why I had those problems. Is that the files were corrupt? They were corrupted.
I knew they were corrupt because when you showed them to me, I'm like, that's what corrupted files look like.
Dang it! So
it's like, yes, the guy who's been using the software for 2 years might know what the error messages show.
I know. Okay, you were right as usual. As usual, Spoon was right about something. Dang it. So
do not argue with the utensil.
Spaceman Chris for 5 says, here trucking along in the US for the first time to the stream. I've been watching Aiden for years. Hey, thank you for joining us. Glad to be here. Take my simp money, throws money. Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Space Marine Chris. And then Trottle for 2 says, without language subversion, leftists have nothing. I agree very much. Slosher for 20 Canadian says, listening to this WAPO journalist reminds me of Michael Malice's quotes about the elites being comprised of unimpressive people. Yeah, very true. That is very reminiscent. Very unimpressive person there.
I think that is something you should take away with the comfort of the regime. Is I had a conversation with Scrum about this, and he said the people in power are not very bright, but what they do have is a very large apparatus that gives the impression they have things under control, when the reality is they don't. They don't have nearly as much control over events as they give the impression. They just have the capacity to make you think they do. But in the grand scheme of things, they don't. Like all this shit that you see right now with the pushing of the meat and the banning shit, that's what they're going to try to do. That doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but they're hoping to scare the shit out of you. That's what they're all trying to do. It's fear peddling. They're hoping to make you bite the bullet. That's all they're fucking doing.
Absolutely. Watery says that we have had Biden-Harris ads all over this stream. Well, you know what? Fantastic. I hope they waste their money on this stream. That makes me very happy. And then Amagard for $2 says, Sitch is a Soros-funded plant. Adam is okay. Well,
we have speculated before that they get paid by somebody.
I don't think so. You think that? I don't.
I do. Yes, because the dumb shit oh my god, really?
No, because I know those two guys.
So?
That's not true. You've said this to me before. I just think it's not true. It doesn't even make sense to me. I find it absolutely incomprehensible.
You should listen to me. You keep saying I'm right.
No, but not on this one. I don't think that's correct. You were correct on why I couldn't get Premiere to work. But
is it really so difficult to work now?
No. But what I did though is that I did eat a weed gummy. And here's the thing is that now they have these THC gummies here. So it's not just like cannabinoid oil. It's actual full-on THC. And I sat there and I got really high and I learned how to use Adobe Premiere, because when I'm a little bit ripped, I don't care if things don't work really quickly. I'm just like, okay, I'll just do this real slow. You know, it doesn't have to be at my normal like breakneck.
Aiden basically comes with a warning like, patience, just add THC.
Pretty much, I guess, because otherwise I'm like, why can't I understand this thing instantly? But
then 5 minutes later, Aiden's like kind of like gooey eyed.
But
like,
then I ate some THC gummy, and then I was like, all right, I'll watch the tutorial. Oh, okay, I got it figured out now, you know.
And then 5 minutes later, Aiden's like, oh, that's what I was supposed to do. Okay, I get it
that
now.
all made sense. And now I understand how to connect this stuff and make it all work out. But I'm still working on learning how to use Premiere. However, you are going to see some Premiere stuff in the new video, which I will be showing in
And you know what's going to be annoying the crap out of me is because Aiden will have a half-hour tutorial and her videos will look better than mine.
No.
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm very autistic about the.
Yes, but
by the way,
you-
like
you-
nothing about this video is done.
You also
so,
have
like, don't get super excited.
You also have a sophisticated style that you bring, whereas I basically just make my background look spinny and nice to look at.
I mean, it depends on what. Spin, if you want to watch some of it, you're more than welcome to. But anywho, speaking of, let's head over to
You're
Broken
gonna show me
Crown.
up, basically. Are you?
No, I'm not trying to show you up. You're my bestie. I'm trying to show you up, and you're the one who convinced me to stick by Premiere, even after it made me mad.
Yes.
So
it's almost like I know what's best for you.
This is why you're my best friend.
And occasionally I have to
Anywho.
kick your ass whenever you get lippy. Aiden is like a
Anywho,
little
guys.
sister to me, actually. Like she's like.
Even though you're younger than me, technically.
Yes,
by,
yes,
like
which is
4
funny.
months or 5 months.
Yes,
but
it's like, bro, help me, why? Look at like Aiden.
We're about
just
the
being
same. We're about the
yes.
same age. We're like
Yes,
the same age.
but it's like it's a brother sister kind of vibe. And when Aiden gets really lippy, I'm like, would you calm the fuck down, bitch?
I know.
It's not that bad.
That's what I need Spoon for. It's why he's my bestie. Anywho, so yeah. Last couple things.
Aiden
this
gets
guy's
mad,
a
and
lunatic.
then she needs to be told to calm.
Not you. He's a lunatic. This dude. What's his name? Plum.
I was
Bum.
a bump.
Bum is a bombastic.
I was definitely a lunatic before the stream started.
You were what?
I was definitely a lunatic before the stream started.
Oh, you were very mad, but you're better now.
Yeah,
Feeling a bit better?
I was punching the shit out of the. I have a metal bench
I know. I
behind
was
me.
worried about you, homie.
Why? Because you could just hear the clanking of metal.
Guess I could hear you punching things. Yes.
Yeah, furiously.
Scared. That's why I ate the weed gummy. I was like, oh, I need to get away from this a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anywho, I hope you all enjoyed the stream.
Rage.
If you do, give me like about 5 minutes, and then I will be over there in Broken Crown chat, and I'm gonna, if you are so want to be inclined to watch a little bit of a preview for my new video, because it's not going to come out next week, obviously, because I'm going to be away for next week. So the week after that, about that. Anywho, we'll do a little preview for the first like 40 minutes that are done. Anywho, I've said anywho about it 5 times, 10 times, I think, in the last couple of seconds.
Alright.
I'll see you all there. And as always, take care. See you guys not next week, not on Wednesday, nor on Tuesday for the Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder stream, but it will be on the week after, 1 week off.
I might do a stream on my own on Wednesday, and I probably will do it on Rumble.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or I can say Game of Legends.
I can send you. Just use the YouTube link if you feel so inclined. So maybe Spoon will be here by himself if he feels so inclined. Either way,
Yes, I will
see you guys. I will see you in 2 weeks.